That means I'll win.
Hi, hello, good morning. How are you? Welcome in. Rob Lonzo, you. Stick with me, Zoe. I got to go straight to the sound bites here. I know. I didn't warn you because I didn't want you to see this coming. I don't go straight soundbite right out of the gate. I got to say hello. I got to say good morning. I got to say happy Thursday. I got to say the weekend's in view. And we got a lot to talk about. I got to say bad news for the Panthers. We're going to talk about that. I got to say Clemson, big favorites this weekend. South Carolina, a lot of optimism as they get set for Kentucky. Yada, 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 yada. I got to say all of that. But before we get that, I got to introduce you to Steve in clip number 1.
Assault, curling off the screen, driving baseline. Oh, you fat with a 3. Yes, I just said that. That is that man's name. Don't tweet at me. I don't want to tweet from anybody. That's the man's name.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce you, in case you missed it, to French basketball player, and I'm allowed to say it because it's his name, Steve Ho You Fat. That's his name. The French club Metropolitans 92 played the G League Ignite, and everybody had eyes on Victor Wembanyama. He is a 7'2", 3-point ace who is going to be the number 1 pick in the next NBA draft. But it was not Wembanyama who had the attention of social media after that game. Instead, it was a 3-point effort with the Metropolitans up on the Ignite, 95-93, with 9:34 to remain in the 4th. Can we play it again? Please and thank you.
Assault, curling off the screen, driving baseline. Oh, you fat with a 3. Yes, I just said that. That is that man's name. Don't tweet at me. I don't want to tweet from anybody. That's the man's name.
Ho You Fat shoots the 3.
Is there a chance that perhaps the announcer is pronouncing it wrong? That in French, that maybe it sounds a little bit different?
It is quite literally. And don't worry, I'm going to pull this up on the stream so that you can see it. If you're not in the stream, I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to get there at facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate.
You're going to get us flagged again. They're going to take the thing down.
I'm not putting the video up.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to put up the picture.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to put up the picture. You can also search and subscribe to the Rob Brown Show on Twitch and on YouTube if you would like to join us. And you should. Because I am about to share with you something that takes Lonzo's concern, issue.
I'm not concerned about this. I believe that you could say this on the radio. If I was concerned, you would have seen a look of concern. If it's indeed this dude's name.
There's his official NBA jersey right there, buddy.
Wow.
The man's name is Steve Ho You Fat.
Is this like he hate me? Is this like they get to put what they want on their jersey type thing? Is this dude really named that?
From everything I can tell, yes. I'm going to look up his YouTube or his Wikipedia page.
Do you really want to type in "Ho You Fat" on your work computer?
It's show prep.
Okay.
It's show prep.
All right.
I am scouting a power forward from the French National Basketball League Pro A.
You're scouting Ho.
I am.
That's what you're saying.
Steve Ho You Fat was born June 12th, 1988. Plays for Metropolitans 92 in LMB Pro A. Born in French Guiana, where Ho You Fat's family business controls shipping at the port of Cayenne. His paternal ancestry is from China. Ho You Fat began his basketball career with Cholet Basketball in 2008 after an exhibition game against the G League Ignite in 22. Ho You Fat went viral due to his last name, according to Wikipedia, which resembles an insulting slang phrase in English.
So his first name is Steve?
Steeve. 2 E's in the middle, which I assume is Steve.
Or Steve.
Steve. Ho You Fat.
Steve. Ho You Fat.
His jersey, which is real, is up on the screen right now. You can go look at it.
By the way, I do believe in Chinese pronunciation, the last word has the most emphasis.
Ho You Fat.
Something like that, yeah.
Listen, I had heard that there was an interesting basketball player name going around. And yesterday evening, you know, the lady friend comes home. Lonzo, she's on a cleaning spree yesterday, which of course meant that
get out the way.
No. It meant I
you're
was
helping.
also on a cleaning
You're
spree,
helping. Okay.
right?
All right.
So I get the man cave polished up a little bit, get some stuff put away, you know, get the clothes done so the couch in the man cave now actually resembles a couch as opposed to a laundry storage facility.
It's a big cave, man. You got a couch in it?
Yeah, man. Couch, 72-inch TV, entertainment stand, 5 video game protocols, a desk with a laptop. I'm a 1%er. All right. This is what I did with my spare room. So the lady friend's on a cleaning spree, which of course means that Rob Brown's on a cleaning spree. I get the man cave cleaned out. It gets down to be, I don't know, 10 o'clock, 10:15. Like, all right, good stopping point.
We need to fix the background because according to the background, I'm Mark Ryan on air. We know that's not true.
I just noticed that. I will flip it back. So anyway, we get done with the cleaning spree.
By the way, make sure you at Mark Ryan on air and tell him about Ho You Fat because I'm sure he would appreciate it.
Just tweet him, Ho You Fat. So we get done with the cleaning spree last night. It's like 10:15, 10:20 at nighttime. And I'm like, all right, let me get a little show prep done. Let me go ahead and make sure I got everything I need to got before the show tomorrow. And I'm flipping around Twitter. And I see that Ho You Fat is trending. And I'm like, well, that's derogatory. That's mean. Who are they? What, like, why? Like, who did what that the entire internet has decided to descend with all its negativity on one woman and say, Ho You Fat? Like, who would they do this about? And then I found that clip.
You know, it's another gleeful day for me getting to type out chapter titles for our Odyssey app, where if you rewind and you go, okay, what were they talking about in this particular, I want to rewind, because you can rewind and it's free on the Odyssey app. If you go to the Odyssey app, download, the app and favorite the show or follow the show or whatever it is, you can go back and just type in or look for Ho You Fat and you can go right back. Right to it. And it's a good day for me.
Texter says, I think Steve is an even better pronunciation. Maybe his last name is like Ho You Fat. And I get it. And listen, you guys that have listened to the show, you know that there is a thing I do where I will try to, with respect, pronounce names of countries and people's names the way that those names are pronounced in their native dialect. So I call Spain España, Germany is Deutschland, etc. Right? And I don't do that because I'm a smartass. I do that because that's how the people who reside there, or that's what the people whose names we're talking about pronounce their names. And if it was pronounced that way, I would have no problem saying it that way. But Lonzo, what does the back of that man's jersey say?
Ho You Fat.
Yeah. H-O space Y-O-U space F-A-T. If there is a better way to pronounce that name with a traditional dialect, I am happy to hear it. Wumbayama. I'm happy to say his name the way that it is pronounced. It is said in his native dialect. I'm fine with that.
All right, so
this man's shirt says Ho You Fat.
I looked this up because I'm curious. I Googled emphasis of pronunciation in Chinese. Yes, I know how to spell emphasis. Whatever. And it says in Mandarin, you make the syllable longer, drag out the vowel, and it's put a bunch of A's in there. Make the syllable louder, increase the volume, pronounce the tone of the syllable clearly, fully. So I don't know that. So it's like, ho,
you fat.
you fat. I mean, that's what I get out of this.
His name is Ho You Fat. His name is Steve Ho You Fat. That's the man's name. I'm not making fun. I just want you all to have Steve Ho You Fat on the radar.
Steve Ho You Fat.
Steve Ho You Fat may very well shock you and show up in the NBA at some point. And Lord of mercy, I hope he does, Lonzo, because you think that if he showed up in New Orleans, the Pelicans wouldn't sell out of Ho You Fat jerseys? Like on the quick? Ho You Fat is going to be the most recognizable name in sports since He Hate Me.
I think there will be reluctance to draft him into the NBA because of his last name, because I think they would be too worried about in a very sensitive country that we are, that they could put that on a jersey. They would try to find a way to not put. Because what part could you actually put? Even if you want to just take part of his name, U is the only safe part.
I love this guy. I'm looking up his.
You can't put ho back there. You can't put fat back there.
His name's his name.
Some people got too much fat back there, but is that a dad joke?
A little bit.
Okay.
I was going to let it go.
I just got to check. I'm going to achieve dad jokes eventually.
Achieve? You revel in them.
Well, because I don't know how to do them.
No, you do. It's natural. You may not know that you are doing it, but you know
every time I ask if it's a dad joke, most people say no. So I don't know what that is.
Steve Ho You Fat, the 34-year-old, 14-year veteran of the French Pro League, descends from a line of logistics.
No, Steven, stop.
Oh, now I got to go.
No.
That's brilliant.
That is a dumpable possibility. So if you want to see what Steven said, you should go to our social media pages, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter.
All he said.
Come on, don't. You're daring me.
All he said.
I'm leaning back.
We should get Steve Ho You Fat a Furman jersey. That's all he said. He just said he should get him a Furman jersey with the Furman logo on it. I'm not. What? There's nothing wrong with that. I would like to know that Steve Ho You
Rob
Fat
Brown, don't take that step. Don't take that step that's right in front of you. Do not take that step.
Is a fan of our local upstate teams, right? I would love to add Steve Ho You Fat to the Furman crowd. Why are you on edge right now?
I'm not on edge. I'm halfway between the board and the button. That's all.
On edge right now?
That's all.
I don't understand.
This is being prepped and ready to go.
Let's see. Steve Ho You Fat's father, Ivan, moved out of China to Cayenne in French Guinea, fell for an African dance teacher. Apparently, the Ho You Fat family is not welcome back in China because Chinese people don't like mixed marriages, and their Chinese father has a black mom. He says, I'm very proud of my name. I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of my mom and my dad, which is great. Guy's got a really positive outlook on life. He said, life is life. I see life in my way, but that's not the truth. Meeting people teaches me that. There's so many ways to live life. You have to be open-minded. Everything that comes to me is pure pleasure, even negative things. There's always something to learn. So I try to learn everything and try to have a good time, and I'm happy. It's a choice for me. I could stay at home in my country, but no, I'm here traveling the world, sharing the name. It's a beautiful thing, end quote.
So that is the Ho You Fat philosophy.
I love it. I love it. I am a Ho You Fattist now.
I think everyone should adopt the Ho You Fat philosophy.
Yeah. Live your life as if Ho You Fat. I love it. This man's great. This man's a legend. This man's an icon. I love this guy. Be fantastic. Steve Ho You Fat. Can I get that clip? Did you close that clip? Because I kind of want to hear that guy. Because I know the play-by-play guy, when he got the roster of Metropolitans 92, was like, okay, which one of y'all's trying to anchor man me right now?
Yeah. That's 4.
4 a
Jeez.
week, Lonzo.
I was going to say, before I remembered that I needed to turn my microphone on as a professional, that you are someone who has to look at names every week, especially on Friday when you're doing play-by-play. If you looked and saw that name on a high school player's list for the opposite team,
I'd be calling the coach.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Like, we get the roster every week. Here, I can pull up the roster right now for Bowling Springs, right? And ordinarily, when you go down the list, there's a few that you're like, okay, I'm pretty sure this is it. You might want to catch up on. Amaje Boyd is a wide receiver, Amayjai. Like maybe it's Amaj, maybe it's Amaje. I'll check on that one. Trayshawn Taylor is on the list. They're like, you always come up with a couple of names on any given roster where you're like, oh man, like I got to make a phone call, right? Bowling Springs doesn't really have too many of them. There's 1 or 2 maybe. If I got to that game,
I took that down, by the way, because video was playing on it.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes.
If I got to that game and they went, here's the roster for Metropolitans 92, Rob, have a great call. Appreciate you. I go back up to the hotel room. I'd put the roster down. Because with basketball, you want to do your best to have the roster memorized to both teams, right? Like, I'd like to memorize.
Because it moves so fast. You don't have a lot of time.
Right. Yeah. Football, it's a little easier, right? You got a guy that carries the ball. You got a guy that makes a tackle. It's pretty easy to go, okay, there's the end of the play, look down, grab numbers if you need to. Obviously, like when I'm calling Burns, I've got their moneymaker jerseys down, right? 11 is Armani Weaver, Kai Cook's number 2, et cetera, et cetera. Basketball, you want to have the numbers, the roster of both teams memorized before the game starts, because it's back and forth. You don't have time to look down, look up, look down. You just got to roll with it. So if they gave me a roster and the name on it was Steve Hoyufat, I'd be like, all right, which one of you guys is trying to Will Ferrell me right now? Which one of you guys is trying to get me to believe that this is actually a name and commit it to memory? And then my dude shows up at the arena, and out of the warm-up tunnel comes Steve Hoyufat with the name Hoyufat across the back of the jersey. And at that moment, my play-by-play guy had a decision to make. Because there's 2 options here, though. Option 1 is skip the ball around the top of the key, looking out to the left wing. There's Hoyufat. Hoyufat takes the shot, knocks it down. That's going to bring the score 98-92, Metropolitans 92 over the G League Ignite. And you just don't reference it, right? And the other option is, you got to say something. Skip it around the key. There it is. Left wing, Hoyufat with the dagger. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, his name is Steve Hoyufat. Do not tweet me.
A song curling off the screen, driving baseline. Hoyufat with a 3. Yes, I just said that. That is that man's name. Don't tweet at me. I don't want to tweet from anybody. That's the man's name.
That's the man's name.
I want to know who the color guy is. Because the color guy, he's waiting. He's waiting
all night.
He's waiting just to see if he'll do it.
I promise you, when Steve Hoyufat launched the J, color guy went.
He's just looking at him. Just looking. Just waiting. Just waiting.
He just turned and smiled and said, good luck handling this, superstar. Right? And the color roll's interesting because, you're on the broadcast. You're there to put your voice into the universe. But at the same time, you also recognize that, the other guy's steering the ship, right? The other guy's in charge of where you're going. You're just along for the ride as a color guy. I've done both. He looked at that roster, too. He saw Steve Hoyufat and was like, good luck, color guy. Good luck, play-by-play guy. You're the superstar, right? You drive the team. Your mic stays on. Good luck with Steve. Ho, you fat. All right, let me take a break. The legend of Steve Ho, you fat is here, ladies and gentlemen. So's the Rob Brown Show. Lonzo, Rob, and you. This is the Fan Upstate. Did I
So, of course, Rob put that in the last second, so there was no way that I would listen to it before the show started, which is a good move on his part.
Easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Hey, I don't blame you, Steven. I don't. But I wasn't going to let that happen for a couple of reasons.
Apparently, the universe did not love our segment because they dropped an emergency broadcast test in the middle of it. Like, as we were about to say the name.
You know where it didn't, though? On stream.
Yeah, sure enough.
On the app.
Well played, Joey B. Well played. Well played. And Steve, your
I have no
bourbon
comment.
joke was amazing. Amazing.
This here thing's off the rails today.
When are we on the rails?
I don't know. It's like I don't know.
Show wouldn't be as fun if it was.
There was an analogy there, and it just went, out the window. I have a major gamer dilemma.
And that is?
My right bumper got stuck last night.
What's the dilemma? Buy a new controller.
Because I don't have money for a new controller right now.
That's true. You did just buy new tires for your
and
1%.
I'm telling you because I thought you would understand what the dilemma is.
I do. The down button on my D-pad is stuck right now.
Well,
I have to mash it to get
the light attack on the game that you and I both are playing is the right bumper.
The right bumper. You are correct.
I found out in the middle of a major battle. It got stuck. And so I was forced to beat a boss with heavy attack.
With only heavy attack?
Yes, I did, by the way. And then it's like, okay, so I'm reading about how to unstuck a button or unstick a button and you have to put a Q-tip and alcohol and
gosh, like
and put it
surgery.
inside the controller. And I really don't want to do that because I can play other games right now that don't, because most games don't really require that much. If I push down on it hard, it will work.
Yeah.
It just won't pop back up.
Yeah, the down button on my D-pad is like that, which is not great considering one of the most valuable tools in the game is assigned to the down button.
At least it's not light attack.
Correct. It's just the key distraction element in a game where distracting people is the name of the game.
I got the boss down a bunch just by shooting him with arrows and running.
That's
When I found out the button wouldn't work. QC in the next break.
okay. Listen, let me be abundantly clear. There is a difference between making fun of someone's name and someone's name being funny, right? There's a difference. I'm not making fun of the guy. I want to buy his jersey.
Are you accused of being insensitive or something?
Yes.
On the text line, probably,
Yes.
because the text line is brutal.
Yes, I am. Liberob the Woke Warrior has been threatened with cancellation, apparently. I'm not making fun of the guy's name. I freaking love
Wait.
it.
You can't be canceled. You're on that side.
Yeah.
That side doesn't get
My
canceled.
side does de-cancel.
Yeah. That's how that works.
That's it. All right. We got a lot of stuff to get into on the radio broadcast today. I can't spend, I could, but I will not spend 3 hours on Ho You Fat. I could. And yes, I absolutely do want to. I'm just not going to.
I'm sure Ho You Fat's going to appear periodically throughout the show.
Yeah, probably. And by that, you mean for the rest of this show's iteration on this radio station. By the way, I don't know if you noticed, though, but I finally remembered.
Yeah, I saw it. It's not flashy to me anymore.
What?
I've been out with you a few times, and it's just, it's lost its luster for me. For everybody else, I get it. It's like, so I know, first of all, if Rob is not wearing something loud, he's going to be loud. So you cannot go somewhere with Rob without being noticed. So my incognito thing that I try to do,
Not around me.
which is not possible with the hair. Although I put the hair up and put the glasses on and it's Clark Kent all the way
You
for
got
the
man
most
bun.
part.
It'll hide that for you.
No, thank you.
For those of you that aren't watching the stream and don't know what we're talking about, the red sequin jacket that was acquired that I had planned on wearing to accept our show of the year, except we didn't win this year, and I've rededicated myself to make damn sure we win it next year. The red sequin jacket has been brought to and hung in the studio as a daily visual reminder to not suck at my job.
And by the way, people who say the award doesn't matter, they're just jealous and they don't get that, like the president of the South Carolina Broadcasters Association just happens to be someone that we know. So every time they downplay the award, they're downplaying the boss. I will say this though, really quick. The jacket is missing something. That's why it's not doing something.
It's missing me.
No.
and the trophy.
It needs a little a different color to it.
Nah.
It doesn't stand out like the one you wore a couple years ago.
You throw that, scratch that. When I throw that next year over a black shirt with a red tie to go pick up our hardware,
I guess accessories would help. But yeah, it's not flashy enough for me.
well, and I'll probably McAfee it and just go like plain black tee under it. It's gonna look good.
Now that would work.
Yeah,
That absolutely
it's gonna
would work.
look good when we pick up our hardware.
As long
next
as you
year.
don't go Chippendale bow tie, because then that's a totally different kind of look.
Correct. And one I'm not capable of pulling off. Here's the point. The jacket is here in studio. You can go see it on the stream right now. That is our daily reminder to not suck because I don't like not winning. I'm not a fan. So we are, and that's why I brought that here.
I don't need a reminder, but
It's to ruin everything. All right. Let me get this in real quick.
I'll just turn my mic off now.
Yeah, and then you forget to turn it back on.
What?
Yeah.
That doesn't count.
Yeah. So we talked earlier this week about the Tua Tagovailoa story, yeah? Tua against the Bills, gets what, I am not a doctor, nor did I stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night, but Tua gets what was pretty clearly a concussion when he gets slung to the ground in that game against the Buffalo Bills.
I hate to interrupt.
But you're going to anyway.
No, because I'm writing the chapter title down. That's Steve was with two E's.
Two E's, right in the middle. Steeve.
Ho, Ho.
You fat.
YOU.
Yep.
FAT.
Yep.
I just want to make sure I spell this
Not
correctly.
PHAT, which is the only way that name gets better.
Okay. All right.
So we talked about the Tua Tagovailoa story and the likely concussion he suffered against the Buffalo Bills, and then the definite concussion that he suffered the very next Thursday against the Bengals in what was a terrifying moment that led to Tua being carted off the field without his face mask on his helmet, brought to a local medical facility, and evaluated. He was allowed to leave and return home with the Dolphins, but he is out this weekend. Teddy Bridgewater will step in and serve as the Dolphins starting quarterback in place of Tua Tagovailoa when the Dolphins take on the Jets. Welp. We also talked about the story of Emmanuel Acho, right? Emmanuel Acho said that there was an NFL game where he suffered a concussion. He went into the protocol, and the doctor said, what day is it and who's the president? He said it's Sunday, which was a good guess because, well, we're playing football. Odds are it's a Sunday. And the president had been the president for like 3 years at this point. It's pretty much ingrained in there no matter how loose the brain was rattling around, right? Well, Alex Smith was on the ESPN Daily podcast alongside Pablo Torres. And he went back to 2016 when he received a series of concussions. During an October 30th game against the Colts at Lucas Oil, Smith twice hit his head on the turf. Twice he left the game to be evaluated for a concussion, and he was allowed to come back in between them. And Smith said, though he was not ruled to have had a concussion, he absolutely did. He knows he did. And he said he lost consciousness at one point. Smith first left the game after against the Colts after being hit while sliding. He tried to jump up, said he was very wobbly, much like Tua Tagovailoa. Said he got removed from the game, was brought to the sideline to go through protocol. And he said that he was asked basic questions like, do you know where you are? What did you have for breakfast? And Smith said that he was told that the protocols are in place to test, is your response time slow? Is your basic short-term memory challenged? He said you can find out, quote, you quickly can find out if somebody's slow to respond, doesn't know. That's your first ticket to get into protocol. And once you're in it, you're obviously not going back into the game. He described the test and said, at the very beginning, the neurologist is going to ask you a bunch of questions. He's going to give you some words, a bunch of words he's going to ask you, then he's going to distract you. He's going to ask questions, geography questions. They can be simple math questions. He's going to ask you a bunch of stuff. He's giving you a kind of sobriety test. So he's also asking you to perform kind of basic agility, standing on one leg. At the end of this 10 to 15 minutes, he's going to come back to these words he gave you at the very beginning of the test. And if you do well on this entire thing, you're not in the protocol. And if he deems you to not have a concussion at this point, you're not in the protocol. You cleared it, end quote. At that point, you can go back into the game. Now, Alex Smith pointed out that in 2012, when he was playing for the 49ers, he left a game because of a concussion, right? Went into protocol, left a game in 2012. And what happened in that game? A young man by the name of Colin Kaepernick took over. Colin Kaepernick was pretty good at the time, and Alex Smith never started again for the San Francisco 49ers. So while he was with the Chiefs and playing this game against the Colts, and he got what he deemed even at the time to be a concussion, he withheld that information from the trainers. He says he withheld information about how he was feeling because he considered the symptoms of the concussion he was suffering to be mild, and he wanted to play again. So the doctor said, how do you feel? And Alex said, great. How's the noodle? Solid, sharp as a tack. I'm ready to go, right? He took the test, which he said is very basic, very elementary level questions. They give you a word, they do a bunch of questions, they have you stand on one foot in balance, and then they come back and go, hey, what was that word I gave you? And if you can recall that, you're clear. So he said he withheld the information, he passed the test, and he returned to the game. He said that he said that Andy Reid, he basically pressed Andy Reid to allow him back in the game. He said, I wanted to go back in. I didn't want to lose my starting job over this. So I pressed him. He said, Andy Reid is, quote, a coach I have a ton of respect for, has coached football as long as anybody, right? He was there, but the experts cleared me and I passed. I passed their metric of a concussion and I got through. And similarly, that Tua shouldn't have to go through. And I went back in the game. Well, take a guess what happened. About 6 plays later, he slid and a dude hit him in the head and knocked his head into the turf. He stayed in the game. About 2 plays later, he gets knocked again on a slide, head into the turf. And he said, if you watch the video, you'll see that I did not try to get up right away. Why? Because he was out. He was KO'd. He said, quote, I'm out on the field for a short period of time, a very small period of time, and come to with a bunch of trainers and people all around me. And for me at that point, a rush of emotion, you're bleeped at yourself, to be honest, that it happened, that I let it happen, end quote. Smith said this time there was no testing, went straight to the locker room, but they ran me through the same protocol. And he said, I crushed it. He said, I crushed it. He said, quote, they were trying to evaluate my response time, things like that. Come back to those same questions at the end of it. 10 minutes later, I crushed it. I crushed the second one better than the first one. I knocked this one out. And Pablo, wouldn't you know it, I'm out of protocol. This time, the Chiefs were well ahead in the game, so Smith did not return, and Nick Foles finished off the 30-14 victory. Reid said Smith had a concussion after the game, but the Chiefs' head athletic trainer, Rick Burkholder, told the same media the very next morning that that was not the case, that he did not have a concussion. Why am I throwing all this information at you about a 2016 incident involving Alex Smith when he was the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs? A couple of reasons. Number one, it is to illustrate and elaborate on the fact that we now know that the NFL dudes do not have their bleep together when it comes to concussion testing. And number two, it is to demonstrate that we have got to do a better job of telling players this is important. It is important for you not to just go, I got to play. We're talking long-term health. We're talking long-term mental health, the ability to be a recognizable human being down the stretch. Players have got to do better. We have got to impart the importance of making sure that you are good to go onto the players. Because as Alex Smith, who I think all of us would regard as a highly intelligent and capable dude, if Alex Smith went, yeah, I didn't really want to lose my job. So I decided to lie about having a concussion, not once, but twice in the same game. It's very obvious that these guys do not understand how serious this is. Let's take a break. When we come back, Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, is going to join us. It's Thursday, baby. We talk football on Thursdays. We'll talk Carolina next. It's the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, we bet. Oh, they took my diva picture down off the top and everything.
Amateurs.
I know. You know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to make one that has both of us in it, since we've got one.
I'm just a producer. Whatever you want to do, man.
Executive producer.
Yeah.
And co-host.
I would never ask for such a thing. I mean, I could have did it myself and then put it up there, just my picture, and took yours down and see if you noticed. I could have done that, but you know. You mean you would actually put a new picture in there? Wow. Unlike that picture that's been there forever, even though you got a new picture taken.
All right, it's Thursday. You know what that means. Time to talk a little Carolina Panther football. Joining us, as he does on Thursdays, host of the Panther Nation podcast. You can find them on Twitter at Panther Nation PC. But make sure you search and subscribe their YouTube channel because it is good stuff. Even when Rashad keeps the hater shades on because he can't even stand to look at us right now. Rashad, what's up, my guy?
Yeah, I got the hater shades off right now, but they were definitely on Sunday for sure.
Oh, I saw.
They were on.
I saw.
Yeah.
Dude, I cracked up at the beginning because somebody in your comment stream was like, Rashad must be lit right now. And Dave's like, no, he's just angry. Let him be. Just let him be.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate, man.
Rashad Beard joining us here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. And, as if it wasn't quite bad enough when it rains and pours, Jeremy Chin, 4-week minimum IR at a point in time where the defense is really the one thing keeping Carolina competitive through a 1-3 start. It's interesting, Shad, because, if you really watch, Jeremy Chin's been important, but I don't think we've heard his name called as many times as we have in years past. So knowing those two things, what is the impact of losing JC for 4 weeks?
Yeah, I think you're gonna find out. He does some of the things that don't get hit the stat sheet as much. He changes the game. He's so athletic that you can't just run things at him because he'll negate it. And so now we're going to be relying on a couple of guys that I think Marquise Blair, who we signed last week, and then we're going to probably promote Justin Burris, which is not ideal. Obviously, he's a veteran, didn't make the initial 53 for a reason. So I think we're gonna see it. Jeremy Chin is a chess piece, and again, we haven't seen his impact as much like we did his rookie season because they moved him back to safety. He was playing in the box a lot more his rookie season. I think that we're starting to do that a little bit more this season. But yeah, I think we're definitely going to see it. And like you said, I think him missing in that defense is when your defense is the best thing on the team or the best aspect of the team. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt for sure.
So you got the Niners, the Rams, the Panthers, and the Falcons, right? Even with Jeremy Chin, I'd say, being as optimistic as I can, your best bet's going 1-4 in the next 4, right? Like even as a fan, the Rams aren't maybe what they were last year. They're still pretty good. Tampa's 2-2. I mean, realistically, that game could theoretically be, wow, for the lead of a terrible NFC South right now. And the Falcons look better than we thought they were going to be. It sucks losing the guy, especially when you are easily in the most difficult stretch of schedule for the Panthers.
Yeah, that's why I tweeted yesterday. This is a tough stretch to lose anybody, and it's not just him, right? We've got a couple of guys that are dinged up with hamstring injuries. Our other safety, Xavier Woods, we don't know if he's going to be available, so we could be missing both safeties. And again, Xavier Woods is one of those guys. I think it's like a top 6 safety according to PFF right now. So both of those guys, and we're going to be missing both of our safeties. And again, like you highlighted earlier, like that's the best part of our team is the secondary, and the defense is the best part of our team. So we're going to be missing two guys from that in the toughest stretch of our schedule. Bucks. I mean, I try to be as optimistic as possible. Realistically, I mean, I'd be amazed if we came out with one victory over the stretch of the next 4 games.
Yeah, I mean, I'd feel a little better if Atlanta was coming to Carolina and not the other way around. The Falcons fans right now, for the first time in a long time, are actually showing up because that team is better than we expected and tied for the lead in the division. Yesterday, Baker, he drew some heat early in the week because he got asked how he feels about the fans booing him. And he's like, frankly, I don't care. And for whatever reason, I think a lot of people took that personally. Then yesterday he came out and he said, look, a lot of the offensive struggles are on me. Rashad, my response to that was, yeah, dude, we got TVs. Like, we know, like, we can see it. Right. And I don't mean that because, again, I'm giving Baker leeway. My man's coming off a shoulder surgery in January. 5 years, 5 offensive coordinators, 5 playbooks. He was given 2 weeks before camp. He was asked to split starting duties through preseason. I am trying to give him the most leeway I can with that optimistic view, Rashad, but at the same time, dude is having the worst 4-game stretch of his entire career right now.
Yeah, this is what I said when we signed him, right? Baker, listen, he's not you're right. Everything that you said is absolutely correct. He came in short week, didn't have much, but this is week 5, right? I mean, come on, like when did we stop giving him the pass? I think it's week 5. We have seen 0 improvement. The batted passes, they're being knocked down. And shout out to my man Chris from Charlotte Vibe, who asked him the question about the drills, because he got a little testy when asked that question. But it's a legit question. Like, how do you get that fixed? What are you doing to fix that? It's a problem when you can't sustain third. We're the worst third down defense, the worst third down offense right now, 31st or 32nd in the league. We're also the last team in the league when it comes to time of possession and plays run. We are on track to be the worst team recorded. I know it's only 4 or 5 games in, but we're on track to be the worst team recorded when it comes to number of offensive plays per game in like 53 and a half. That is terrible. It's worse than go ahead.
I was just going, Rob. I can't.
No.
I can't not. I can't not. So Ben McAdoo gets a pass. So Ben, because Baker's not playing well for sure, but Ben McAdoo's getting 0 blame from anybody. This is a new offensive coordinator who couldn't make it as a head coach, and a lot of people act like he was going to do a great job. His play calling is horrible. It is horrible. I mean, perhaps some of this is Baker audibling out of what it's called, but I doubt it. I mean, my wife's sitting on the couch with me. Are they calling the same play again? Are they calling this? Yes, they're calling the same play again. It's easy to bat the ball when you know where he's going, when you know he's just going to sit back there in the pocket. When there's so many, McAdoo needs some blame in this, man.
Oh no, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of blame to be spread around, but at the same time, when you have a DJ Moore wide open and you can't hit him, that's not on McAdoo. You can't blame McAdoo for execution. When you throw a screen to a tight end at his knees, like that's not on McAdoo. That's Baker Mayfield. Like I agree with you. Play calling is suspect. We got to get our playmakers the football. 1,000% agree. It could be better. But at the same time, guys got to execute.
I'm like, McCaffrey just disappeared in the second half. Why do you not run the ball at all?
Agreed. Well, partially because you can't sustain. Like when you're running 53 plays a game, you can't sustain third downs. Like when you're getting passes batted on third downs, that's a problem. It's a microcosm. Everything runs together. Bad play calling.
You and I, we're not really arguing here.
No, we're not.
Sounds like it.
We agree. We agree.
But when Baker or when McCaffrey is getting 4 to 5 yards a carry, sometimes it's not consistent, but it's enough to where he's getting a 2 100-yard games, and you come to this game and then you suddenly go, you know what? We're just not going to use you anymore in the second half. And I don't want to hear that his legs hurt. I mean, everybody's hurt right now.
I know, and I agree, but again, it goes to play calling. And when you run, when you have a guy like Deontay Foreman, a 6'2", 230-pound running back, and you don't put him in on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, and you put Christian McCaffrey back there, that's a problem too. Like, and I've been banging, dude. Trust me, I've been a guy that has banged my head on the table over year after year after year and getting more running backs involved. And it's the same thing. And we try to give Christian McCaffrey the football in every situation, and we're just not. It's bad. Like we're bad. It's a lot, and it's not getting better. And unfortunately, we have the number 1 ranked defense of all football coming in next week. It's not going to get any better. The Bluebirds will be out. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad, guys.
Rashad Beard here on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. One more, and then we got to cut loose, Rashad. Somebody pointed out the other day, Ben McAdoo. I said McAdoo coming in, and again, optimistic glasses on. Look at what he did when he was the coordinator for the Giants instead of the head coach. As a coordinator, the numbers didn't look that bad. Took the second to worst offense in the league. 2 or 3 years later, had them inside the top 10, and that's great. But he's very clearly not an elite choice. And somebody said, but that's what happens when the coach is on the hot seat. That the GM is just kind of trying to get through it. The owner seems relatively disconnected from the franchise. I'm at the point now where I'm almost kind of like, until you clean house from Fitterer down, there's not even hope that you can bring in the pieces to fix the problem right now.
Yeah, no, and I like Fitter. I think he's made some good moves. He's also made some bad moves. But I like Fitter, and I think he should be given an opportunity to get his own coach. You got to remember, we hired the coach before we hired the GM. It's not how it's supposed to work. And so I think I agree with you. I would have no problem with them clearing house because you get to get the clean slate. But a lot of this was done incorrectly, and you got to keep in mind, all of these guys are available for a reason. Baker Mayfield is available for a reason. McAdoo is available for a reason. Like, these guys are all recycled guys, and they're available for a reason. So we have this thing that we think Matt Rule can just fix everything with recycled guys, and that's just has not been proven. He cannot do it. And so again, I agree with you. Until we go out there and at least clean house from maybe Fitterer down, maybe not Fitterer, but everybody under Fitterer. I think you're right. Until that happens, we're going to be in a cycle of mess because it wasn't done right from the beginning. And we have plenty of evidence. Oh, my fault. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Rashad Beard hosts the Panther Nation podcast. Find them on Twitter at Panther Nation PC, and make sure you subscribe to their YouTube account at Panther Nation Podcast. It is fantastic stuff. They go live all the time and have some of the best takes you're going to hear. My guy, appreciate you, big dog. We'll see you next Thursday in San Francisco. Sheesh, good luck.
Yeah. Yeah.
The frustration's real. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right, brother. Appreciate you, big dog.
Yeah, man. Anytime.
We'll see you next week.
So this is why I don't want to talk when he's talking, because I take up too much time. I don't
take up time.
No, but I take away from his time.
Doesn't matter. What you brought up and what you were talking
He
about.
is the one.
As soon as I saw you go like this, I'm like, this is Lonzo's interview now. 100% it was. And I got no issue with that.
I also looking at the clock, knowing that this would,
Yeah, I mean, that's on me. Bad clock management. Skrilla, what's up, big dog? Welcome in. Steven said, are Mark and Diesel streaming now? I don't know is the answer. IDK, my BFF, Jill. Don't know. I know that they have been experimenting with it. I do not know if they have.
I think it's just beard cam because the camera was moved again to the side, and some other things were moved. And
Diesel streams, but only his beard.
I think he just streams his beard. I really do. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's an amazing beard, and it needs some time in the limelight. So I have no problem with it.
Everything you do online, there's actually a simple solution. DuckDuckGo.
Yeah, I don't believe that, Joseph. I don't. But I just don't.
Yeah, I don't think Joe, and I could be wrong. I don't think he starts Charlotte FC if his goal was to move the Panthers, right? Because if he moves the Panthers, he's moving Charlotte FC with them, and they played one season. Like, I think if he was planning on moving them, he holds off on the MLS pitch. Unless the MLS just said, hey, you either get a team now or you don't get one at all, which is, I acknowledge, a very strong possibility.
For some reason, I thought Burns had already lost 2 conference games and we're out of it.
No.
So I didn't realize that.
Just the one.
Yeah.
Their other one was
It was the non-conference down in Florence. Yeah. Yeah, they should have, but they didn't, Jesse. They should have absolutely have drafted Justin Fields, but I also have bias. So why did he leave? Hope he comes back soon.
banging on Greeny for eating chicken wings with a fork and knife.
Yeah, they should. Now, if it's like a half a chicken or something where you have it's really hot,
Rip it apart.
yeah. But if it's really hot, I get it at first.
It's
But
too hot to enjoy if it's too hot to touch.
what if you're really hungry? I see it. It's looking at me. It's weird. Warehouse in the first break. Stop staring at me.
Hour numero dos of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob and Lonzo and you. Keep in mind, it's Thursday. And you know what that means. Coming up in an hour and 20-ish minutes. Fight Club! First rule of Fight Club is you definitely talk about Fight Club. And we have got a lot going on. Hey, Wonder Boy's got a fight coming up.
He does. By the way, AI overlords, quit sending your birds to watch me.
But Zoe's anti-bird, and I don't understand it.
It's because they're not real.
They're drones, man. They're drones. Anyway, there's a mockingbird just hanging out outside the window staring at Lonzo, and it's hilarious to watch him freak out. All right. A lot of stuff to talk into. A lot of stuff to talk about. We talked about the Alex Smith thing. We talked a little Panther football with Rashad Beard, and appreciate him as always for his time joining us today. He joins us every Thursday. If you missed that interview, worry not, as I will have it posted on the website after the show is over today, as well as Fight Club. I know we have a caller, Zoe, but my screen has changed and now it's just this, and I don't know how to fix it.
I'm disappointed in you. A couple of technological problems the last couple of days. You're Rob Brown. You shouldn't be having this problem.
Well, the problem is
to take it down and bring it completely.
I've done that 3 times.
And you went to the name of the thing.
Yes, it's that is the software. It just won't show me the name. So I know that we have somebody on hold. I just don't know who it is.
I will come and look at it during the break. And then, worst case scenario, we can bring Chris back in here so he could doom the show again.
That'll work.
All right, we have Jay who wants to talk about the Panthers.
All right, let's get Jay in here real quick. What's up, Jay? Welcome to the show, bud. Good to have you.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed the segment you just did on the Carolina Panthers. That was good, but it's even more hopeless than you guys laid out. the problem is you can't fire the owner.
Yeah, that is correct. You cannot fire the owner. So you put all of this on the hand of Tepper.
No. I don't put all of it on him, but who's the guy that hired the coach before Fitter?
Tepper. I mean, ultimately the calls came down from him.
Who's the guy that picked the coach?
I believe that would also be David Tepper. This was his call of, this guy's done it at college. He must be able to do it at the pro level. That didn't work.
And I appreciate the third year is magical for Rule, and that's when it all turns around, and that's when we see that, yeah, we just got to get from 211 degrees to 212, and then the magic happens. But I'm not seeing it.
No, I agree with you. So my question then, Jay, becomes, what's the solution, right? Like, is it time for Rule to go with the knowledge, by the way? And this is what I asked Rashad, and I stand by it as a bona fide question. Part of the reason that a lot of us believe that Matt Rule was the guy that was hired, a lot of us believe that Ben McAdoo is the OC, is that at the end of the day, because of the volatility of the Panthers right now, you're not going to attract any of the most high-profile targets, right? Like, they're just, who wants to be a member of the Carolina Panthers right now, especially their leadership, when the club has been, frankly, inept for the last couple of years? Like, how do you expect to get a guy? Like, I'll give you an example. Sean Payton is looking at coming back into the league. I think at this point, it's a pretty poorly guarded secret that Sean Payton is going to come back. Carolina should theoretically be an excellent fit. They've got the talent to run Sean Payton's offense. They've got the ability. They have got a team that should be willing to give Sean Payton everything he says he wants to make a return. But I kind of feel like if Carolina called Sean Payton right now, he'd be like, thanks, but no thanks, because the front office volatility is just too bad for me to take that risk.
Well, the missing component there is the old phrase, money talks. We know what the rest of that phrase is. So to the extent that Mr. Tepper is willing to make a John Gruden or even a Matt Rule type deal, I think that we can, in fact, attract a high-quality NFL coach that has had success in the league. I'm not sure that's the former Saints coach. It might be. But Tepper, to his credit, has not been cheap about hiring coaches. He's made some awful, just terrible personnel choices. But the one person who was at this point is Scott Fitter.
Yeah, and you're not alone in that. And Jay, I appreciate the phone call, man. Great to hear from you. Thank you very much, and I hope you will continue to check in with the broadcast moving forward. As Rashad pointed out, and Rashad does not care about keeping the optimistic party line, right? Like, Rashad will call people out the way that he feels he needs to. And Rashad is going, hey, look, this is not on Scott Fitter. This is on Tepper. This is on Rule. This is on Baker. In fact, the one guy that he has given the benefit of the doubt to has been Scott Fitter, and said, look, as Jay pointed out correctly there, you talk about the fact that Matt Rule was David Tepper's guy. You talk about the fact that he's the one that tried to sell us all on the, you give Matt Rule 3 years and the rebuild works. And in fairness, at the college level, that has been the case. I got to imagine that at some point, NFL managers are going to learn that success at the collegiate level does not directly translate to success at the league. The number of college coaches that have come into the league and succeeded is not that high. I mean, Pete Carroll won a Super Bowl, but also Pete Carroll had an exceptional roster managed around him and dangerous in his prime, right? Nick Saban couldn't do it. Steve Spurrier couldn't do it. There have been a who's who of great college coaches that tried their hand at the league and failed because it is a different style of coaching. And one thing, I think you are kind of seeing that to some degree with Matt Rule, and here's the reason why. I think it's pretty obvious here. And Lonzo and I have had this discussion on the Views from Mitch Street podcast, which you can grab where major podcast is found, where we talk Carolina Panthers excessively. The Panthers as a team, right? As a group of guys, for the most part, though, they seem to have Matt Rule's back, right? After the win over New Orleans, they ran the game ball to Matt Rule, and they lifted up Matt Rule, not physically, but metaphorically. Lifted up Matt Rule like, hey, coach, we understand it's been tough. Like, we're your guy. Every beat reporter that I have read talking about this says that in the locker room, the guys still have Matt Rule's back. But I have news for you. Having 53 guys who love the coach is not the same as having 53 guys who are 3-1 instead of 1-3. And having a coach who comes in and knows how to manage a college football team and get everybody to buy into that program is not the same as getting a coach who can come in and manage an NFL roster and get everybody to buy into that program. It is a different style of personnel management at that level. And while I think that Matt Rule seems like a perfectly good dude. Matt Rule seems like a guy that I could go bowling with and have a few brewskis and talk football and walk out of there and be like, yo, Matt's cool. I like Matt. Me and Matt are boys. Matt Rule's a good dude, and I like him a lot. Seems like a cool guy. It's not the same as being a coach that can handle it, right? Nobody thinks Bill Belichick would be fun to hang out and have a beer with. I don't. Nobody thinks, well, a couple of women do. I don't look at Cliff Kingsbury and think there's a guy I'd like to hang out with, right? There's a lot of coaches that I go, I think I would probably hate that guy, but damn, he's a good coach. And Matt Rule's the opposite, unfortunately.
See, the Panthers are confusing from this aspect. Usually when a team is struggling like it is, you start hearing disgruntled players, and I can't be everywhere and see everything, so maybe I missed something, but I don't recall seeing any players throwing other players under the bus. I don't recall seeing any players throwing the coach under the bus. I don't recall any of that. Yeah, it seems like everyone's against the Panthers because they're not very good right now. So it seems like they're more of a team right now than they have been.
And I don't disagree. The team chemistry, Lonzo, feels really good. Right? You got guys coming out defending Baker Mayfield, defending Matt Rule. After the win, that team looked joyous down on the field. The chemistry, the roster feels like a good group of guys who are playing for each other. And that's fine. You're playing for each other and losing with each other.
You know, and I get Rashad bringing up, certain receivers being open. I think you can isolate a receiver and show a receiver being open a ton on just about every team. I mean, even the in Philadelphia and Kansas City, all the top teams that are going on right now, I bet you can find a receiver that's open a lot that the quarterback just doesn't get the ball to him. I think it's real easy to blame Baker Mayfield, and he hasn't played well. He does deserve a ton of the blame. So does the offensive coordinator. But right now, it's just weird. I don't recall another team that's struggling supposedly the way that Carolina is, where we didn't hear some sort of dissension. And there is no dissension. And Baker being snarky back at reporters, so what? That doesn't, you guys have been wanting him to act that way. And then, oh my gosh, Baker's showing his true color. So what? You think he likes having the balls batted down? No, he doesn't. You think he likes answering that question? How do you fix it? If he knew how to fix it, he would have fixed it already.
But I think that in and of itself is the issue, right? Like, that is the issue. I've given the example many times of if I go to a steakhouse and I order a medium rare T-bone steak, and they bring me out a very well done skirt steak. I don't have to be a Michelin star chef to go, this is wrong and I want it fixed. And if I said to the waiter, this is wrong and I want it fixed, and the waiter looked at me and said, well, how would you propose we fix it? Well, I don't know what you propose to do. I know me and my family are freaking leaving because it's not my job to provide the fix.
All
What I do know is that if I go to that restaurant 3 or 4 or 5 times, and every time I go, the order is wrong, and every time I go and I point out that the order is wrong, and I say I'd like it fixed, and they go, well, what's your solution to fix it? I do know what the solution is. I'm never giving you money again.
All right. As a former reporter, how would you prefer that Baker Mayfield answer that question?
I don't care, because Baker's comments didn't bother me.
Okay.
Right? Baker's comments didn't bother me. I got it.
I think it's funny. The same people are all upset that, that he's hiding. He's not acting like who he really is. And then he starts acting like who they see. Yeah. He's, should he come up there and go, hey, you know what? Doing my best.
Look, he came out 2 days later and he said, look, it is on me. A lot of this is on me. Baker came out and said a lot of the struggles on the offensive side of the football are on me, which is fine. That is the whatever term you want, the correct answer.
If you want Baker gone and you're a Carolina Panther fan, the best thing for you to do is put away your gear, get ready to watch basketball or soccer or something else.
Let's go Hornets!
And just ignore the Panthers for the rest of the season, because Baker's your guy if he stays healthy.
Well, I got news for you. Based on the 2/3 full maybe stadium this Sunday, that's already happening. That's already happening, right? And at the end of the day,
this is the most vocal we've heard Panthers fans in a long time.
Yeah.
So
no, listen, when we were at the game 2 Sundays ago, the Saints game, the only win they have is when I went to go watch them beat my team.
I just want to point out there's only been 4 games this season. But you're
right 1-3. You're out.
Yeah.
Playoffs.
No, you're not.
If you were if you were in any other division, you'd be out right now.
Okay.
Right?
You keep wanting them to be, or it appears like you want them to be. They're 1 game out of first.
Right. They're 1 game out of first. The Bucs aren't going to stay this bad all year, I don't think.
They might get worse.
I don't know about that.
Lawyers have been hired.
I understand, but at some point, this is done. Although I had to tell you, somebody pointed out yesterday, could you imagine being the lawyers on both sides that are in charge of listing the assets of Tom Brady and Giselle?
Especially if there's no prenup, which we don't know. If there's no prenup, that thing might last as long as his suspension trial did.
So all of that being said, you are not out of this division. Lonzo is correct. You are a game out of first place in the NFC South. A win this weekend over San Francisco and some help against Atlanta and Tampa Bay, you could theoretically end this weekend in a 3-way tie for first place. All right. Tampa is, Tampa because they're playing each other.
They play each other. So, yeah.
You could then theoretically
still be 1 game out.
You scratch that. With a win this weekend, you would be 1 game. No matter what outcome is in that game, you'd be 1 game out of first place in the division, right?
Well, wouldn't you have, Atlanta, how many division games does Atlanta have already?
This will be Atlanta's 2nd. They are 0-1 in the NFC South. If you, Carolina, win this weekend, you are 1-0 in the NFC South.
Right.
Which means you would have the effectively half game advantage for second place in the division. That being said, I'm gonna go. In fact, let's pull the line on that Panthers game this weekend, shall we? Let's see what Vegas has to say. Because although I will tell you, I have been getting killed by Vegas in the NFL. In the NFL, I'm killing college, but I'm getting killed by the NFL.
I'm gonna guess it's like 14 or something like that.
No, it's not gonna be that high. I'm gonna say 6.5. San Francisco by 6.5. San Francisco by 6.5 is the line. God, I'm good.
Yeah, that's why.
Damn, I'm good.
That's why I lose Boo Box every week,
God,
because
I'm
he's
good.
that good. And
San Francisco's minus 275 on the money line. They're minus 6.5 against the spread. And the over-under that game is set at 39. So they don't expect a very high scoring game in this one. I think it's the only NFL game that has an over-under of less than 40. It is. It's the only NFL game this weekend that has an over-under line of less than 40 is Carolina v. San Francisco. So not a lot of faith in the Cats out of Vegas this weekend. And I get it, especially now with Jeremy Chin out. That's a big loss. It's a big loss defensively to the unit that is the one unit that's producing anything for you, right? So Baker came back. He said 2 days after he got heat for saying, I don't care if the fans boo me. He said, look, the offensive struggles, a lot of it's on me. I've got to do better. And he's right. Rashad brought up on the first drive of that game, on the first drive of the game last week, Ian Thomas, the tight end, came out on a tight end screen, right? He dropped back into pass pro. They ran the guard and the tackle out in front of him. He came off the block. Baker threw him the ball, and it hit him in the shins. If that ball hits Ian Thomas in the hands, it's a first down. Guaranteed. He's got nobody ahead of him except two big old fat dudes wearing silver helmets. It's a guaranteed first down if he catches the ball, but Bake puts it at his ankles, and he can't go down and make the. That's just a bad throw. That's just a bad throw. There's nothing else to it.
Which, by the way,
was a
happens.
bad throw.
Every quarterback has bad throws.
I don't disagree, but Baker is also having the worst year in passing efficiency of any starting quarterback that qualifies in the league right now.
By the way, I know it sounds like I'm just completely defending Baker Mayfield. No, he needs to play better. He absolutely needs to play better, without a doubt.
Yeah, as Rashad said, and I think all three of us, me, you, and Rashad Beard, are all in agreement here that, yes, the play calling does need to get better. You cannot run the few, not just, and I pointed this stat out on Monday. I'll go back and find it if you guys need me to. Not just run less than 53 plays a game. You are on pace to have the lowest time of possession since the NFL began recording time of possession. That's not bad. That is historically bad. That is legacy bad. That is 20 years from now. Even if the Panthers win it, if the Panthers in 5 years win a damn Super Bowl, we will go back and go, if nothing changes, remember how bad we were with the 2022 team. Remember how bad we were in 22 when we couldn't hold the ball for more than 20 minutes a game. Remember that? And now here we are. Look at us now, right? Like historically bad unless something gets changed. And like Lonzo said, I can't call for the tank yet. I can't call for the tank because we're a game out in the division. Somebody's going to the playoffs as the NFC South champ, and it might be with a sub-500 record at this point. But if you want, here's the thing. You can't ride that and go, all right, next three are really tough. Tampa, L.A., and San Francisco this weekend. Then you're at Atlanta, which, by the way, does not look like the cakewalk we thought it was going to be, right? Oh, you know who's up after Atlanta? Cincinnati, right? If you want a chance to remain in this division, because the wild card's not happening. The NFC South is not producing a wild card this year, okay? It's just not. The wild card ain't happening. The only way the Cats go to the playoffs is if they win the NFC South, a division with Tom Brady in it. And the only way that's going to happen is you've got to go 3-2 in the next 5 against 4 of the best 5 teams in the NFC.
I need to correct you. A division with Marcus Mariota in it.
Fair enough. As we all saw coming. All right, let's take a break. You want to get some more cat talk in here, you're welcome to do it. Hit us up on the phone line at 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-FANFONE, 844-326-3663. Text us on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN. Oh, you fat. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
Warehouse.
All right. NFL Plus, by the way, is well worth it. Well worth it. It has been excellent for being able to go back and rewatch games. I was like, I cannot have more subscription services, but I got NFL Plus, and I'm glad I did.
What if you had to get rid of something? Would you get rid of one of the other ones?
Yeah. For the season. I'll cancel it as soon as the season's over. I don't need the off-season stuff. If I was going to drop one, it would not be the one I dropped. I would probably drop Hulu before I dropped NFL Plus.
Yeah, I don't really use Hulu for anything.
I don't anymore. I did for a while. I was using it for Parks and Rec, and I was using it for daggum, what show were we watching? We just finished a show on Hulu. It was a murder doc show.
Hello, my friend.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
My bird's back.
I know. I've come to speak with you again.
The most surprising team in all of college football this year just might be the Kansas Jayhawks.
Hey, stay away from my car.
Rock, chalk,
Stay away
Jayhawk.
from my car.
Haven't gone over the total in 4 of their last 6. They play 17th ranked TCU this weekend, who has gone over in 4 of their last 5. You know what that means? Shootout, baby.
You know what that means.
I'm Tristan Crick, helping you.
The world needs more Ace of Base. This is, by the way, now. Oh, never mind. I was going to say, this is the second company I've heard in the last month or two using this song in an advertisement.
I'm going to throw this ball of foil over your head.
I will hand you $1 if you make this. I actually don't have $1. That's how confident I was that you weren't going to make that. I owe Lonzo $1. Put it on the.
It was
tab.
worth it just to look on your face.
He bounced it off the table. I mean, it counts, but he didn't call glass for the record.
Yeah, that's stupid. I mean, calling backboard, calling glass, it's points, man. Doesn't count less just because you used an
Buckets.
obstacle or used the little bit of basketball that I could play, other than fouling, which I was really good at. Always use glass. More physics involved. I think it's easier to envision a spot on the backboard that you know when you hit that spot, it works.
Keegan saved me. That's what I'm using Hulu for. What we do in the shadows, which is amazing.
Yeah, but it's on. Well, you don't have regular TV. I was going to say it's on like cable
I got
live.
YouTube TV, and it plays on that. But I just like I'm very lazy, Alonzo. I just like having it set up where I can just go to Hulu, turn it on, and there's my show.
Mad World in the next break.
Mad World.
By the way, Borderlands is announcing the opening, when the grand opening of the shows,
Dope.
the store,
I love it.
Sunday. At the
They're
con.
announcing it Sunday, or it is Sunday?
They're announcing it
Announcing it
at the con. Yeah.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Rob and Lonzo with you. Let's get to some college ball, shall we?
No, man, we don't do that here.
We're NFL guys. Hey, Zoe, I want you to not be the eternally optimistic Lonzo. I know it's a very difficult ask. Lonzo can't help it. But I want you to take off the Zoe hat, put on the Rob Brown hat. Probability percentage, South Carolina beats Kentucky. 10, 20, 25, 30, 33 and a third. What's the percentage probability South Carolina gets the win over Kentucky?
I can't do what you want me to do.
You sure can.
I'm going to go.
I believe in you, buddy. You
All
can
right.
do anything you set your mind to.
All right, 51%.
No, you see, you can't do it. You're right. I lied. You can't do it. Lonzo can't do anything he sets his mind
It's
to.
like going up to a rose and telling it to be a daffodil. You can't do that.
Ugh,
Sorry, daffodil's the first.
Ugh.
I don't know why that's the first thing that popped
Ugh.
into my head.
that was so gross.
What?
It's like going up to a rose. Alonzo by any other name would still smell so sweet.
Hey, I like poetry.
Regular Zoe Shakespeare over here, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, yo, Zoe Shakespeare,
Zoe
right over
Shakespeare.
here.
All right. Look, it's 25, maybe 30%, right? Kentucky, by the way, if you like I do, like to look at the Vegas odds as a good grasp of where a game really stands. Kentucky's a 6-point favorite, right? Not even a full touchdown. And by the way, that's at Kentucky, right? That means that Vegas thinks Kentucky is a field goal better team than South Carolina right now. So if you're asking the question, did South Carolina really turn a corner? That obviously is a subjective answer, but Vegas says they believe South Carolina found something in these last two games. And maybe they did. Sometimes it takes the right tune-up game, right? Georgia State out of the gate is not an easy game. That's a decent little Eagles football team. They're not bad. They're not bad. They're better than Charlotte, for sure. So maybe South Carolina did just need a whipping boy to go out there and go, okay, we know what we need to do. Now let's go out and let's actually succeed at doing that a few times. And we can carry that. And Vegas says that they believe that that's exactly what's happened here.
Did Kentucky have you fooled? Did all the talk have you fooled?
Oh, no, Kentucky's still good.
No, so they may have you fooled.
What do you mean?
Kentucky still may just be Kentucky.
No, I don't think this is your daddy's Kentucky team. This is not a Kentucky team.
My daddy ain't from Kentucky.
Kentucky.
My mommy is, though.
This is not a Kentucky team that is a placeholder to get Big Blue fans over until basketball rolls around. John Calipari would like you to believe that that's what they are, yeah? John Cal wants you to believe they're just a placeholder until basketball season. But Stoops does not believe that. And I don't believe that. It's a better Kentucky team. Will Levis, 97 to 141, 1405 through the air, 12 touchdowns to 4 picks. But he was very slightly above average
Do you think?
against Ole Miss last week.
Do you think Beamer uses the bulletin board?
No.
You don't think he
No,
does?
I don't think he doesn't strike me as a look what they're saying about you guy.
So he will just ignore what was said, and it was controversial a couple of weeks ago, and just act like that never happened. And the players, what the coach said about the hype.
Oh. What Stoopsy said when he said there's a difference between culture change and climate change.
Yes.
And that Beamer is changing the climate by doing funny dances and wearing cool sunglasses, but the culture change is different. And I'm going to say this. Stoops has done a really good job of changing the culture at Kentucky. All right? Let's give him credit where credit's due.
But at the same time, so Beamer if Beamer's not a bulletin board guy, how do we know that some of the assistant coaches aren't? How do we know that the players don't go, okay, we'll show you, and maybe actually play with some fire and come out and compete like they can compete?
I think that
This is not. I mean, this should not die down. What was said, between Kentucky and South Carolina.
I agree. I would love for Beamer to take it personally. Okay. I would love for Shane to come out on Saturday onto the field in cool rich guy sunglasses and dancing at the 50 while glaring down Mark Stoops. I would love that. But I would much prefer that they just go win the football game.
Well, I would prefer they win the football game, do all the things that you're saying, and then when they go for the handshake, he does the old too slow, hand in the hair thing.
Like walk to midfield and whatever music is bumping on the loudspeaker, just break out some dance moves, throw on the Louis Vuitton sunglasses, maybe put a little zinc on the nose because of the climate change outside. I'd be fine with that, but you got to win to do all that, right? So
you're giving them a 25% chance.
I'm giving them I'll say 25 to 30% chance to win this game. Because again, Kentucky is still a good team. Yes, they lost to Ole Miss. A top 15 team. A decent Ole Miss team. Will Levis had his worst game of the year. Worst game of the year. 18 of 24, 220, and 2 touchdowns. And that's his worst game of the year. But Levis had some mental mistakes, right? He had the safety that he gave away. He fumbled not once, but twice in the red zone for Big Blue. Which is why, to me, the key to this game is create turnovers. South Carolina's defense must create turnovers. And if they do, Will Levis will give you a few of them. Create them. Take them away. That's your best bet. That is your best chance. Now, last year, Kentucky squeaked by South Carolina in Columbia, squeaked by 16-10 in that game. Levis was 15 of 22 for 102 yards and an interception.
So you're saying that South Carolina has gotten worse and Kentucky has gotten better?
No, I do not think South Carolina's defense has gotten worse. But I do think that they will need their best game of the season thus far to get by Big Blue. Because Levis is good. Now, here's what's very interesting. What's very interesting right now is that Will Levis is dealing with an ankle injury. I combined 2 words there. An ankle injury. To the point that Will Levis is being called a game time decision right now. Okay? He is being called a game time decision. Mark Stoops said earlier this week that Levis does not need surgery on the finger he dislocated in the first half of the loss at Ole Miss, but he did also suffer an ankle injury. He is scheduled, is Mark Stoops, to talk to broadcasters later today about the game to update Will Levis's injury. But as of right now, reporters out of Big Blue Nation are reporting that Levis is a game time decision. If he does not play, then Kaya Sharon could make his first career start for UK, a 6'3", 208-pound redshirt freshman who has never thrown a pass in a college game. If Kaya Sharon comes out as a starting QB, Lonzo, I want to look to the sideline. I want to see every defender putting on their Karate Kid headband because I want nothing but attack. Forget that. I want them in a Cobra Kai headband. Show no mercy, sweep the leg. Go get him. Attack. Right? Make the young man who's never played college quarterback, make him see ghost. But I also want that against Will Levis too, right? Throw everybody at Levis. If he's playing on a bum ankle, he's going to be slow or slower. Levis is a dude that can go get 75, 80 yards on the ground, right? I want to see this team attack. And I want them to be relentless. Do not show mercy. Because that's how you're going to win this game. The flip side of that is going to be Spencer Rattler. 98 of 151 for 1,121 yards. Keep in mind that Will Levis, who is considered a top-tier quarterback, well, second-tier quarterback, has about 200 yards more than Spencer Rattler so far. The Gamecocks' passing attack has looked better the last couple of weeks. Not excellent, but better the last couple of weeks. I need my guy to step up. I need my guy to take the next step. I really do. Kentucky has the advantage at running back. Marshawn Lloyd has broken out the last couple of weeks. No doubt about it. But Kavasier Smoke is a freaking dude. However, again, left the Mississippi game for an undisclosed medical reason. His status is up in the air right now. They went to junior Chetan McLean, who played well in Oxford, 21 yards on 5 carries, 1 catch for 7 yards as well. Kentucky, if Kavasier Smoke is available, has a slight edge at running back. If Kavasier Smoke is unavailable, South Carolina will have the running back advantage. I think Kentucky's got better receivers. I think South Carolina's got the better tight end. And I think, and this may shock you, South Carolina, again due to injury, because Kentucky right tackle Jeremy Flax had a leg injury against Ole Miss, and his status is up in the air. South Carolina might have a better offensive line than Kentucky. So it comes down to the defensive line. And I think they're about even units. South Carolina, I am telling you right now, unless they just mentally decompose during this game, South Carolina's got a chance to be the upset of the week.
Wow, everything you said makes it sound like they have more than a 25% chance. I just want to point that out. Everything that you just pointed
First off,
out.
I said 25 to 30.
Okay, wow, that makes a difference.
Huge difference. Huge difference. Kentucky's still got great athletes.
I'll stick to my 51.
Here's the thing. You were looking at 5, maybe 6 starters, including at skill positions of quarterback, running back, and left and right tackle, where Kentucky's got injuries. Lonzo, if all 4 of those guys go, Kentucky's a better football team. If they're missing 2 of those 4, it's pretty even. They're missing more than 2 of those 4, you got to take advantage. All I'm saying is this. South Carolina, pin the ears back, wrap the Cobra Kai gi around, and show no mercy. And you've got a chance to win this game. Back after this to wrap up hour 2 of the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
My world.
Voted
few questions about your car's history and what kind of condition it's in. In minutes, you'll receive an offer to sell or trade your car that you can be sure is fair. Then choose a dealer to purchase your car and schedule a time to meet. For all of the it's, KBB.com.
Is there a calculator that can't compute in your kitchen drawer? Recycle it at Staples. A shredder that won't shred under your bed, or a collection of cables cluttering up your closet? Recycle them now at Staples. With Staples Free Tech Take Back, we'll recycle your old tech free. Plus, rewards members get $5 back in rewards. So if you have modems, mice, and mobile phones making a mess of your home, recycle them now at Staples. And then one more word.
Has anyone ever taken their video game controller apart? Were you able to put it back together? Also, if you have an engineering department, you think it's out of bounds to bring something like that in and go, hey, can you fix this? Let's say in my case that I can say that it's for show prep purposes. So it's technically work equipment. Maybe. Will he make it back in time? No, he did not. Should I just come back from break?
I challenge you to find me a better streak than that in all of
So I'm in the bathroom during the break.
Is that why you were late getting back?
Yeah, well, the boss wanted to chat.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Never mind. It's excusable then.
Yeah, the boss wanted to chat. So he goes, how's it going, man? That's not how he talks, but I got to change the voice so you know it's a quote.
He didn't go, "Oh, you fat," and just
Ho,
nod.
you fat. Steve, ho, you fat. He goes, how's it going? I'm like, yeah, you know, kind of getting old, like feeling it a little bit, right? Stayed up past my bedtime last night, feeling it a little bit. I said, you know, I got to tell you, he heard the conversation about the 100-yard dash, right? He's like, yeah, that's pretty funny. I'm like, yeah, it'd be funnier if I tried to do it and actually did hurt myself. I said, I'm playing next Saturday, the 15th. I'm playing in a celebrity softball game, right? I said, I got to tell you, boss, I'm playing in the celebrity softball game. Well, they've dropped the rosters and the field and all that, and I'll tell you guys about it next week. In case you want to come out and watch me humiliate myself, because 80% of the guys and gals on the rosters are former pro baseball, like I'm talking Major League Baseball and professional softball players. And then there's me.
Wow, you mean there's no other radio personality?
There's like 4 or 5 other local broadcasters playing, right?
None on this station, though.
No.
Okay, I was just curious.
No, which is good because I'm hoping none of them listen and show up. All right. Now, you put me on a bowling team, I'll show up because I'm gonna bowl 220 or 120. There's no in between, but I feel like my 220 games are good enough.
There's a good shot hats will be thrown at some point.
One of two things happens. I'm either in the zone and I'm having the time of my life, or I'm slinging hats across the lane.
Whereas if you bring me and Diesel on your team, you're going to get consistency.
Yeah. Diesel and Zoe are like consistent 170s. Rob's getting you a 220 or a 120, and there's no middle ground, right? I'm either going to win this thing or lose this thing for you single-handedly. Anyway, I'm like, boss, there's like all these pro baseball players, and I'm like, you know, he's going to give me some words of encouragement here, right? He's going to be like, yeah, man, listen, you got this. Rock the fan up, say sure, go out there, put on a show, have a good time.
Do you not know this guy?
I do. And he goes, oh, you sure you want to do that? Cool. Thanks, boss. Appreciate that.
And I'm sure his delivery was smooth because that's what he does.
Oh, yeah. Are you sure you want to do that? No, not anymore. I'm not.
And that evil, twisted grin afterwards, I'm sure.
90 to first. Like my goal is just get on base, right? It went from when they announced it as a celebrity softball game. I'm like, all right, like I've seen a lot of the radio and TV dudes around here. My goal is to go out there and be a monster. My goal is to go out there and mash.
Chicks dig the long ball, man. You know what? You can trot around the bases if you hit it over the wall.
So now what I do not know yet is the rules, because I've played in some beer league softball games where home runs only count if they're to straightaway center, right? Like if they're between the numbers on the fence, they count. If they're outside the numbers, they're either foul balls or they're outs. So if you're going to swing for the fence, you better go straight away. I don't know what the rules are. I do know my goal is to go dingas only, is to go yag only, because I'd rather jog around the bases. Because if I got to sprint to first, I'm going to be on first. The coach is going to give me the steal second sign, and I'm going to give him the no sign.
Or just lean into it, man. Go ahead and take it. Go ahead, lean into it. Take a hit. You'll be all right.
Both catchers are former Major League Baseball players. I'm getting thrown out by a mile.
No, I mean, get hit by the pitch. Then you can just walk the first base.
Beer league softball, there's not much of a sacrifice there. We'll talk more about that later on and through next week. Final hour is just around the corner on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. No, Egan, I'd rather do neither of those things. And it's 90 feet. That's 30 yards, which, by the way, if I was to get around the bases, would be over 100 yards, just breaks in the middle, which is good. Josh Allen?
If you had wheels, though,
Josh Allen.
you'd be hitting that first, second, third, and be sliding into home.
Yeah, if I had wheels. That is, you phrased that correctly.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Rob Brown, but did you not used to be a baseball player?
I did used to be a baseball player.
So that means you understand all the mechanics and everything. Yeah, I mean, come on.
Assassin's Creed, it's in my genetic.
Come on. I got one good block in me. I mean, so I'm sure you've got at least one or two homers in there.
Couple of dingers.
Still got a sack left in me. I mean, you know, if I go unblocked, I'm going to take that quarterback down. If he's stationary and doesn't look my way, it's possible.
If I throw the crack back.
Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involved in risk and loss. At Progressive, you can get 24/7 protection, even if you press the space-time continuum.
Time travel to yesterday. Progressive covers us 24/7, but we just created an 8-day week, and it's 24/7 coverage, not 24/8. We gotta go back. Are you joking right now? Calm down. Hi, I have a question about time travel.
Progressive offers more than a great price when you bundle home and auto. We offer round-the-clock protection, which literally means anytime. Coverage requires cash futures, company affiliates, and third-party insurers, and subject to policy terms with discount not available in most states or situations.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life, celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
Oh, they got rid of the laugh.
Got rid of what?
The stupid laugh, unless, yeah.
Transferring out after Frank Martin is not a surprise. Those kids were there to play for Frank Martin, not the University of South Carolina. So the win here for Lamont Paris, the new head coach in South Carolina, is not to go and keep the roster intact. The win is, how do I replace those guys with guys who want to play for me? Don't panic, Gamecocks fans. Don't freak out about it. These kids were committed to Frank Martin, not the University of South Carolina. Now that they're gone, you can bring in kids who are committed to the next regime. And as Eric Musselman at Arkansas has shown you, which, by the way, just picked up his third 5-star recruit to Arkansas, not North Carolina, not Duke, to Arkansas. You find a guy that kids want to play for, your basketball team profits. Welcome to college basketball in 2022.
Same great show, new time.
Rob Brown Show.
At 9 a.m. only on the Fan Upstate.
I will give you my biased answer, Jesse. CJ Stroud. But, you know, That's just me. They missed out on one, Ohio State quarterback. Maybe they should go after the next one. Plus, Baker Mayfield's only on a 1-year contract, right?
Correct.
Then you're not hanging on to Sam Darnold. So
Correct. Matt Corral's your guy next year.
no,
Now.
no, he's not.
Don't have to like it. You do have to accept it.
No, because it ain't happened yet.
A bird battle.
Battle.
Lonzo just got into his rage mode there. Lonzo heard bird battle and just took it as some birds are gonna die.
Thought maybe it was ostrich fights or something.
Those are the sounds of a Samsung bespoke laundry set, washing and drying a full load in under an hour, making this the sound of savings on top brand appliances. Save up to $1,052 on a new Samsung bespoke laundry set at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Offered on September 29th through October 19th. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
O'Reilly.
Professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts to recommend the best products for your vehicle and budget. Get maximum cooling system performance for 10 years on 300,000 miles with peak long life universal pre-mixed antifreeze and coolant. Now just $3.99 after mail-in rebate. Limit supply. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Auto Parts.
WORD Spartanburg.
The official sports voice of you're the upstate fan. Live from the Philadelphia.
And check this out.
For an official Rob Brown lockdown.
Yeah.
Unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show.
The fan of state.
The third, the final, the best of money hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rob. The great one, Lonzo, is on the board today. 844-FAN phone, 844-FANFONE, 844-326-3663. Can also text the show on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N. We'll read them on the air. You can also tweet the radio broadcast at The Rob Brown Show, at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo on Word, at Lonzo on Word. And, of course, you can tweet us all at The Fan Upstate, at The Fan Upstate. All the different ways to get in touch with the radio broadcast today, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Let's get into some stuff. Boo Box Bets will make its return. Our picks to be made tomorrow on the show. Our last round of picks, we had a draw, so no punishment was handed out. This past Friday, Lonzo was out on vacation, so we did not make picks. We will return to that on tomorrow's show. We will have 10 picks, 5 college, 5 pro. Whoever has the worst record on Monday will draw a punishment out of their Boo Box.
Which means I only have to lose one more time, and then we're done.
No, you've lost 3.
No,
You got to lose 5.
I lost 4.
No.
Yeah,
No. No,
you and I,
hate soccer guy. A draw is not the same as a loss.
It's partially a loss.
No, it's not partially a loss.
It's partially a loss and
it's
partially a
0%
win.
a loss.
It absolutely is partially
In
a loss.
soccer, a draw is 0 or is 1 point.
This is not
a
soccer.
Loss is 0.
Soccer is the only thing that does that.
If we were doing standings on a table, you would have now 1 point because you did not lose.
All right. So in the NFL, there were a couple ties this year.
Yep.
So those games count as a half win
No, they
and
don't.
a half
They count
loss.
as a tie.
No,
They're
no.
on the end of the
No, they
record.
count as a
No,
half.
If they were half and half, then the
No.
Titans, the Colts would be 1.5 and 1.5 after week 2. They would not be 1-1 and 1. They'd be 1.5 and 1.5.
No. So if they were leading their division, there would be 1.5 games up because of the tie, right?
No.
Yes.
If it was a loss, it
Absolutely.
would go in the loss category.
There'd be 1.5
It's-
games up,
Right.
which would mean half of that.
Which means they're up.
No, that means half of that would be a loss.
Just stop. I know it. Listen, Lonzo just wants boot box bets to go away, is what it comes down to. He just wants it to be done.
So from the beginning, when we
A
started doing
segment,
this,
by the way,
my
that
fault.
is his brain.
No. It's my fault. But I also, I try to put things in there, back doors, if you will, to get my way out of something when I realized the mistake that I made going up against a gambling expert in Rob Brown.
Man, I wouldn't go expert.
Have you or have you not been on a gambling show?
It's baseball. It's not the same. It's
Yeah,
not football.
it's still
It's football.
it's a gambling show. You know who gets on gambling shows and is a co-host of a gambling show? Someone who's a gambling expert. So I am doing that thing that some of you guys do at home and go, yeah, I can I can beat the expert. And you get on with an expert and you find out, no, you can't. I am proof that you cannot beat a gambling expert. So I have been an underdog since the beginning of this. And we all know I'm going to lose again. And then technically it should be over.
No, because you've only lost 4. If you lose,
Tie's a loss.
if you've almost had me twice. Week 1 and week 3, both ways. You've only had one bad week. You had one really bad week, and that set you back.
Whether you lose by a point, a half a point, or 35 points, it's still a loss, and I have to pick out of the box. So, I mean...
Right, but losing a series 4-3 feels better than losing 4 in a sweep, right?
No, it's still losing.
You'd rather just sweep and get it over with?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to win now, because if I win now, the whole thing starts over again, and I'm going to have to go through 5 more losses. And even while you're trying to tank, you can't, because I'm that bad.
On the season through 3 picked weeks so far. 4 picked weeks so far. Actually, I've got to add last week's picks on. I think we both went, if I recall, 6-4 in that last one. So that is going to bring Rob to 23-17. I'm doing the math in my head as we go. 23-17 is Rob Brown. It is going to be bring Lonzo up to 17-23 on the season. So creeping back towards that 500 mark. I am 23-17. Lonzo is 17-23 after a draw week where we both went 6-4. It's really not terrible. It's not terrible. Like I said, Lonzo is 2 good weeks away from getting back to 500, which, keeping it at 500 is respectable. You want to be up like Vegas. Folks who play Vegas and win Vegas usually hover in the neighborhood of 57 to 60% correct, right? Lonzo's probably 2 good weeks away from getting there. I, of course, already am there. So there's that.
Because you're the expert, yes.
Let's listen. You got the Rob Brown gambling for dummies guy before the year started. You are now an expert.
Just because I understand something doesn't mean that my head will go above my heart.
I believe
you also purposefully put games on there that maybe I have a rooting interest in, because for sure I'm
the Saints have been on there 3 out of 4 weeks.
Yeah, but we both know how bad the Saints are.
We did not for the first 2 weeks.
Okay.
The phrase I believe is
I tried to invoke or cause a little bit of pain there, and he feigned like it didn't hurt.
I believe the phrase is, I taught you everything you know. I did not teach you everything I know.
You can give me a Oxford education on this, and I'm still going to lose.
The eternal optimist, except when it comes to himself, ladies and gentlemen, it's Lonzo. All right. Got a few more things I want to get into here on the radio broadcast so far. We talked Panthers football. If you want to bring that up, you're welcome to. We talked about Alex Smith faking his way through concussion protocols. And the point of that was, yes, we can demand the NFL do better. We can demand that the NFL does more to limit concussions and try to limit their impact on the game and on these guys as people. But at the same time, one of those steps has to be to try to impart on players how important this is, right? When you go to a doctor, you get told from the time you're a children, a youth, all the way up to your adult. Like a doctor, I went to a doctor's appointment 2 months ago, right? Just to get the old checkup. And even now, the doctors are still like, all right, you've got to be honest with me, right? Like, you've got to tell me the truth. It's not going to leave this room. It's between you and me, but you got to be honest with me. Because if you're not honest with me, we might not diagnose something that's important, or we might misdiagnose something, right? Until players recognize how important it is to be honest about their brain health, doesn't matter how much the NFL tries to do, right? It really doesn't matter. So we'll talk more about that because I suspect that is going to continue to heat up. Major League Baseball playoff brackets are officially set. Ladies and gentlemen, the number 1 and 2 seeds, the top 2 division winners on both sides, get by into the NLDS. On the AL side, that is, of course, the Houston Astros with the 1 seed and the New York Yankees with the 2 seed. On the NL side, the LA Dodgers, 111 wins this year after they knocked off the Rockies on MLB's final day of the season. They get the 1 seed. The Atlanta Braves, by coming back, by sweeping the Mets in that 3-game series, and by getting that one they needed over the Miami Marlins, are your NL East champions. And they, by way of the tiebreaker rule, because remember, we do not have that 163rd game anymore, by way of the tiebreaker rule, the Braves are the 2 seed. They will get a bye until the NLDS. The other 4 teams will now play a 3-game wild card series. We had the 1-game wild card showdown. We now move to 3, and the home team will host all 3 games. It does not travel back and forth. It will take place in the home stadium of the team that has the higher seeds. So over on the AL side, the Cleveland freaking Guardians, who, by the way, if it can't be the Braves, over on the AL side, I love this Cleveland team, man. This Cleveland team was not expected to accomplish anything, and yet here they are as the 3 seed. They will host the Tampa Bay Rays, who were not the 100-win team that they have been the last couple of years, but they eke their way in. Cleveland should be favored in that. I'll take the Guardians. And then your 4-5 matchup is a very, very interesting one. You've got the Seattle Mariners as the 5 seed, who I like. They're young, they're energetic, they're fun, but they've got to go to Toronto to take on a Blue Jays team that is wildly inconsistent. The Jays have had stretches where the bats have been really, really good. And then they've had stretches where they just have all but disappeared. They ended up as a 92-win team, 7 games back of the New York Yankees. It is an identical record to the Cleveland Guardians, who won the AL Central. Seattle, on the other hand, Seattle gets in with a wild card after being 2nd in the AL West, 90 wins. Now, 90 wins would have been good for 3rd in the AL East. It would have been good for 2nd in the Central. It was good for the only other 100-win team outside of the Braves, the Mets, and the Dodgers, because the Yankees only got 99. The Astros went 106. The Mariners get in there. I'm intrigued in that. That might be one of the 2 best opening round wild card series. Over on the NL side, San Diego gets the 5 seed as a wild card. They will travel to the Big Apple, where they will take on the New York Mets. Of course, the Mets ended up with an identical 101-61 record as the Atlanta Braves. But the Braves won the head-to-head matchups, which were the tiebreaker. So the Braves get the 2 seed, the bye to the NLDS. The Mets will now have to play a 3-game series at home against the Padres. The Padres are interesting as well. That's an 89-win team. They would not have won any other division in baseball. 89 and 73. The loss of Fernando Tatis Jr. due to his steroid suspension. It wasn't just a loss for the lineup. Remember, they brought in Juan Soto. They brought in Josh Bell. That lineup with Fernando added to it would have been a murderer's row. But something happened mentally to the Padres. They just never recovered from the loss of Fernando Tatis, right? They kept waiting. They kept waiting. And it felt like this was a team that mentally was playing good enough ball that it was like, okay, when Fernando gets here, we're going to explode. When Fernando gets here, the fuse that's been lit will hit the dynamite and we're going to be big time. And when Fernando got popped for the 80-game suspension that took him out for the remainder of the season and the postseason, even with the addition of Soto and Bell, it just felt like San Diego's fuse kept burning and burning and burning, but never reached the dynamite. Now the Mets are going to throw Scherzer and DeGrom, although reports are that the Mets may actually find a way to hold off. They may actually change up their rotation and maybe throw Chris Bassett as their second game pitcher in order to create a situation where they win in 2 and they have one of their 2 aces ready to go in game 1 if they survive at the Los Angeles Dodgers. Up on the top half of the National League bracket, the Phillies and the Cardinals will play. Of course, the Cardinals are in by way of winning the NL Central as a 93-win baseball team. They have got the Phillies, a third-place team in the playoffs at 87 and 75. But with one of the most impressive middle lineups in all of baseball, not much in terms of consistency of arms, but they do have a really impressive middle of the lineup. This Phillies team should be responsible for a lot of games. The Cardinals are really interesting. The Cardinals are a legacy team right now, right? Yadier, Pujols, Waino. This is a team that is taking its curtain call. This is their last shot. They're good off the hill. They're good through the lineup. They're not exceptionally great with either, but they did win 93. Granted, it was 93 in the NL Central, which featured a sub-500 Cubs team, a 100-loss Pirates team, and a 100-loss Cincinnati team. So I think the Cardinals' record might be a little bit more impressive than the baseball team itself. I think I like the Phillies in an upset there on the road at the Redbirds, which means that series number 2 in the NLDS would be an NL East battle between the Phillies and the hosting Atlanta Braves. Wild card is a 3-game series played only in one stadium. NLDS is a 5-game series, and then the NLCS goes to a full 7-game series. If the Dodgers make it through, they would host. If the Dodgers don't and the Braves do, they would host. If the Astros make it through, they will host the ALCS. If they do not and the Yankees do, the Yankees will host the ALCS. If none of those 4 make it through, then the highest remaining seed out of the wild card round would host the ANNLCS. So there's your baseball playoff bracket. Coming up tomorrow on the show, because tomorrow is day 1 of the Major League Baseball wildcard round. Coming up on tomorrow's show, I will give you my playoff power rankings. I will give you the teams that I like to move on and the teams that have the firepower and should move on. Spoiler alert, the LA Dodgers are number 1. Shocking, I know. Let's take a break. It's Thursday. You know what that means. When we come back, it is time for Fight Club, your home for all things combat sports, boxing, MMA, pro wrestling, We're getting it all in with Lonzo next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Our banner fell.
Diesel's fault. He's leaving alone.
WRD Weather Center. Here's the upstate's most trusted forecast on the Fan Upstate. For today, we'll see lots of sunshine with highs reaching 80. Clear tonight, mid-50s. So sunny and dry for Friday through the weekend. Friday up to 83, and lower 70s returning for Saturday and Sunday. I'm meteorologist Michael here on the Fan Upstate. Currently 72.
And now, Mark Ryan's morning sports spin.
Oh, that is bad.
No questions whatsoever. And it's because
It's all muddled.
Yeah, I'm like, why?
It's like he was holding his hand over.
I am going to demand right now that Major League Baseball stand up and be accountable for this. What do you guys believe? Should Barry Bonds be the all-time home run king? Because in essence, what Major League Baseball is doing is it's starting a fight for you and me to have. If I'm honest with you, folks, I am worried about the lack of accountability, about the lack of morals and ethics and values in society today. I was a high school teacher. If you cheated on exams, you got a 0. Okay? It didn't matter what you would have gotten if you didn't cheat. You cheated, you got a 0. Barry Bonds, all of your records are invalidated to me. Aaron Judge, you're the dude. I'm Mark Ryan.
Both sides with Mark Ryan this afternoon, 3 to 7.
All right, y'all. 1418 Lawrence Road in Greenville.
Sponsored by Audible. This fall, find everything you love listening to on.
Oh yeah, I gotta do a thing here.
Celebrities and sci-fi. Audible is the home of storytelling.
Oh, yeah.
Audiobooks, podcasts, and originals. Sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com.
I just don't think he's good enough to beat.
My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. Not just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat it too.
I'd like to take this time to apologize to absolutely nobody.
Welcome into the Fight Club, where if you heard the beginning, if you're on streaming, you don't get to hear the intro. I apologize for that, but because we don't want to get flagged or get anything taken off, I can't put that on there. But it starts off with Daniel Cormier. We're going to be talking a little Daniel Cormier a little bit later, and I can't wait to talk about that. Got a lot of things going on in the AEW, especially backstage, that we're going to have to talk about. But let us start off to make sure we get through this. So on another show that I'm a part of, we do a thing called the Nerf Wall, and we do this by picking pay-per-views or premium live events. And last week we picked WWE Extreme Rules, and because we just put Rob in there every single time and he doesn't say no, I'm not doing that. So that means Rob is subjected to the Nerf Wall, and there are many of you out there who want to see him face that wall,
which I have yet to do.
And I gotta say, out of all the people I've wanted to see face the wall, I want to see Rob face it more than anybody. I do. There's only one person I don't want to see face the wall, and that is Matthew Kazi.
Why?
But because
why does he get off the hook?
Because
he's a sweet, innocent young man.
No, because
which he is.
I don't want to say he's frail, but he.
Yeah, you know what?
He's a lot smaller than all of us.
If Matt goes up against Rob Young's Gatling gun,
yeah, that's a scary thing.
He might actually get caught in half.
You haven't looked down the barrel of that thing. I have. We need a GoPro for that though. I'm trying to think of a way. I mean,
oh, you know what? I'll tell you what we're gonna do. I'll tell you what. Next time we sit in, which will be before the end of this month. I don't know which Saturday, end of this month. Whoever gets it, when it's time, I will jump on the StreamYard with my cell phone.
Yeah, but you don't need to be over there unless. So what I was going to say is I was thinking about Tim has a gimbal, and you can put your phone on a gimbal.
Okay.
So that means one free hand isn't covering vital parts, though. But that's your fault.
You mean that you want a point of view of the person being attacked?
I want the bullets flying towards you.
Gotcha. 10-4.
I mean, the bullet cam. I mean, who doesn't want that? All right, so. Premium live event coming up this Saturday, WWE starting at 8 p.m. I don't like that they moved them to Saturday just because I got a thing that I do on Saturdays. But, that's just me.
Being selfish.
Yeah, that's it. All right, let's start with the Brawling Brutes of Sheamus, Ridge Holland, and Butch. Ridge Holland and Butch, who just made an appearance on NXT. Pretty good match a couple of days ago. Going up against Pretty Deadly, Rob's favorite
love
tag
Pretty Deadly.
team.
They're
yes.
awesome.
Yes, boy.
They're awesome.
And going up against
any guys who are that culture to begin dropping Hamilton references into their promos is way over with me.
It wasn't bad. So they're going up against Imperium, which is Gunther, also known as Walter. Ludwig Kaiser. I don't remember what his old name was. And Giovanni Vinci. I don't know.
Who was a dude, by the way?
Yeah, and I don't remember what his old name was either. But so this is being labeled as a good old-fashioned Donnybrook match.
Yes, indeed.
And I'm looking forward to this match. I really am. This is going to be a lot of bodies flying and some punches thrown. So I will tell you, I am going with the Brawling Brutes to win this match.
I'm going Imperium. I think they are kind of going to do what they've done to some degree with the Bloodline. They want those guys to be over, and I get why, because especially with NXT UK going away, they want to hook that continent on the product as a whole. So to strap all of those guys, because and I'm sure we're going to pick the other one that this group is involved with in a minute. I think they're going to create kind of a pretty impressive legacy here for a minute. I'm going to go with Imperium.
All right. So these are the matches that I have so far. So maybe I missed a match because you're talking about something that I don't have.
Oh, that's right. Sheamus Walter was on on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Never mind. I thought that was a pay-per-view match.
Yeah. It's like, okay, did I miss something? Anyway. All right. Let's move on to Edge versus Finn Balor in an I Quit match. it's a little stagnant right now. They're missing something. They're absolutely missing something, and in the faction, and I don't know what it is. Maybe a true leader
in Judgment Day.
Yeah, I think they're missing a true leader.
I'll tell you what they screwed up, and it. I mean, I know that it was kind of an emergency call
because of injuries.
But when they took Edge away from the group that he started just like randomly and out of nowhere, and then they put Finn in there, like there wasn't really a reason that Finn Balor is suddenly the leader of this group of doom. And so it just doesn't have the feel. This is why builds in wrestling are important. That being said, they're not going to have Edge lose this match, I don't think.
All right, so that's who you're going for. You're going for Edge?
I don't like this one.
All right, so I'm going with Finn Balor. And the thing is, you don't have to say I quit if you're unconscious, because technically you quit. So, and we've seen these kind of I quit matches in that way before, where the other participant just cannot answer the bell, so to speak, cannot talk because they're knocked out. And I think that's what will happen with Edge.
And this is your rule that I'm just probably should have asked this question many times over at this point. Outcome is the outcome, even if it's a dirty finish, correct?
Yes.
All right, I'm changing Finn. I'm changing. Sorry to make you work extra and have to write down one more thing.
I also had to scribble out another thing, so it was two things I had to do.
I'm really sorry. I'm a terrible host.
Yeah, I'm lazy. I don't like doing all that stuff. All right, the next match is Drew McIntyre versus Karrion Kross in a strap match. Now, for those of you who think, people are into wrestling are not men and how could they possibly watch that and wrestling ain't real? Watch this match and tell me that don't hurt. That's all I'm going to say. Watch this match, or better yet, come in and let me hit you with the leather strap and you tell me that's fake.
Every kid who grew up in the South sees that belt come out and is like,
it's not
flashbacks.
It's not just the South. I had a belt broken over me before.
Listen, Florida is the north of the South and Ohio is the south of the north.
My family's from Kentucky, so, technically from the South, I guess. So Drew versus Karrion Kross in the strap match. I think it'd be real easy to say that Drew McIntyre would win this match, but I'm going to go with Karrion Kross. I don't, there's no winner really, because they're both going to hurt really bad, but I'm going with Karrion Kross.
Oh no, this is of the gimmick matches. This is the one I would least want to be involved with, right? Like this one's going to suck. For them, not for me. It's going to be entertaining as hell. If Drew, I don't know, man. Like I just feel like you're kind of at a point where Drew went from one of the hottest wrestlers on the roster, and post Roman, it's just been like, what are we doing here? I think they don't want to cool him off too much, so I'm going to say he wins this thing, unless Scarlett gets involved. But I got to think Drew wins this thing.
All right, the next match, and this is a match that we found out will have a special guest referee. It is Matt Riddle.
Some of y'all would like to face Matt Rule in a cage match.
Yeah, some of you would, but you might get more than what you thought, because I bet he could go.
I bet Matt can scrap a little bit.
He could.
Anybody who wears a smock.
There you go. Matt Riddle versus Seth Rollins in a fight pit match, which is basically
it's a cage with extra walls.
It is, but it's pitted down like a UFC type thing. It's a pretty cool looking match. It really is. But the guest referee is going to be my favorite UFC fighter of all time, Daniel Cormier. And Daniel Cormier is a noted WWE fan.
Noted, not a real man.
Yeah, well,
UFC champion Daniel Cormier.
There's that too. So he's going to be in this match. And they even pointed out in the promo that he's a Seth Rollins guy, which of course makes me believe Matt Riddle's going to win this match.
I'll tell you what I do not do, despite this being how I make my picks. I do not look at Vegas picks for WWE shows,
which is so weird that they do that for this, but they do.
They do. You can, in fact, you can get really good odds on there's some really good bets that you can win some money if you are a complete degenerate like me. Matt Riddle is the biggest favorite on the card in Vegas right now.
Really?
Yeah, he's like minus 400. Seth's like plus 270. He is the heaviest favorite on this card right now. I honestly thought that because it's Cormier, he would get involved and help Seth because he is a noted, like he's had Seth at UFC weigh-ins and stuff. Like he at one point Seth brought him a signed Money in the briefcase, and I think Cormier like either carried it to the ring for a match or had it ringside for a match or something. He is a big fan. That being said, that is going. I'm going out of kayfabe on the pick here. Daniel Cormier screws Riddle so that he can start a program with Seth. I'm going to go Seth Rollins loses this match. Riddle wins.
All right, you're confused. So Seth wins.
Riddle wins.
Riddle wins. Okay.
But Cormier screws Seth to create a situation where he gets to run a program with his favorite wrestler.
I hope so, because it's been rumored for a long time that Cormier was going to be in the WWE, and I definitely want to see it. All right. Liv Morgan versus Ronda Rousey in an Extreme Rules match, because you got to at least have one.
Yeah.
And this is the only one that I see.
One to decide this is the one, by the way.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you that I am going with Ronda in this. Liv has had a decent run, and they've managed to make Ronda back into what she's supposed to be. And so I'm going with Ronda.
Yeah, I'm going with Ronda Rousey too. I think the end of Liv Morgan actually began right here in Greenville when she had the opportunity after the, I think, botched ending in their last fight. And then she came out and basically like cut a heel promo on accident. And I think it kind of killed her as people taking her seriously. And I think it's going to cost her. I'm going Ronda Rousey.
All right. And finally, Bianca Belair versus Bayley in a ladder match for the Raw Women's title. And this is supposed to be the main event. And I am going with Bayley. And I will tell you, everyone on the Pulse crew went with Bayley, which means absolutely nothing because, Rob Young from Borderlands was on, and he's also a wrestling fan, so he went with Bayley too. But the rest of the guys, they don't know anything about wrestling. Cameron has a passing interest in it. So everybody went Bayley. Where are you going to go?
Well, then I'll go Bianca. I'm not a sheep. I'm not no sheep. I'm not following all you guys just because it's popular. That's a lame way to live your life. Give me Bianca, the EST of WWE.
I'm trying to see if you're really doing that, or you just wait until I write it down so I have to scribble it out.
No, I'm going Bianca.
Okay.
I'm going Bianca. I listen, I'm glad Bayley's back. I am. I even kind of like the faction they've put together here. It's like the first time in a while that I actually feel that there's a women's faction that doesn't just make sense, but actually should win. But Bianca Belair is the most over women's champion since Becky, when Becky was the man. And I don't think they can take that from her, even in the name of Bayley right now. I will take Bianca Belair.
All right, quick UFC. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson will fight again. I think it was Trey asked the other day, is he fighting again? And he's going to fight December 3rd versus Kevin Holland in the main event.
That's down in Orlando, if I recall correctly.
I believe so. So he will be back in the octagon soon. I mean, that'll be here before you know it. Can't wait to see that fight. Before we jump away from WWE, though, everything points to White Rabbit showing up at Extreme Rules. That's what all the clues and everything people believe he's going to show up at Extreme Rules. Will Bray Wyatt be alone, and what match will he interrupt?
No, he will not. I could see, you know what match I could see him getting involved with?
Bayley and no, really?
Drew and Karrion Kross. Think about it. Karrion Kross is a perfect candidate to be in a evil Bray Wyatt stable with, by the way, Dexter Lumis, which I think would be amazing.
Agreed.
Amazing. But what better match to get involved in, Lonzo, than a match where neither guy can get away from each other, especially if he already has an acolyte in Karrion Kross. Imagine what they can do to Drew McIntyre with two of them. McIntyre does not have the ability to run and the weapons built into the match. I think I just fantasy booked myself into a corner here. I have Drew to win. I will not be upset if Karrion wins because the Fiend shows up / Bray shows up and starts his stable because the Wyatt family was amazing. And I want Wyatt Family 2.0 with that guy in it.
I think no matter what happens, there'll be a certain faction of the fans that'll be disappointed because some people want Wyatt Family back, some people want the Fiend back, I want Husky Harris back. I know it's not going to be Husky Harris, still my favorite Bray Wyatt character of all time, But I'm looking forward to. They have to end this thing eventually, and supposedly all clues are pointing to this Saturday. So we'll see what happens. And
yeah, by the way, if you haven't been following the Sherlock Holmes game of putting together the clues from the QR codes, I spent like a solid 45 minutes yesterday going Sherlock Holmes trying to figure it out. And the latest clue has in it a set of geographic coordinates, which are the arena that Extreme Rules is taking place in this weekend. So I'm here for it, man. I loved the Wyatt family. The Wyatt family was my favorite. Bray Wyatt. I thought it was probably the best overall gimmick that a wrestler has put out in a while. And I want to spin off of that. I don't care. Bray, we're going to get something new. Bray has been too good at creating characters for him to come back as an old character. We're going to get something new. And I'm 100% here for it.
All right. James on the stream says, I've been annoying my friend by constantly suggesting the White Rabbit is actually Brian Knobs. All I have to say is that's pretty nasty of you, James. Anyway,
there are some really funny possibilities. It's not going to be any of the AEW guys that have crossed over. So if that's where you're coming from, slow your roll just a little bit. It is going to be Bray. It's just what Bray are we getting here?
All right. Will Sammy be the demise of the bloodline?
Oh yeah, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. You've got Jay that this whole time has been anti-Roman, anti-Jimmy, has been anti-Sikoa. It has been fun to watch him try to pitch that Sammy is the bad guy. How about Sammy and KO getting together to de-strap the Usos and Sammy taking it off of Roman, taking one of the belts off of Roman? Sammy is the most over guy in wrestling right now.
He is, for sure. Especially, I love the way back pictures. Those things are awesome when they put him as a member of the Usos back in the day.
Him hitting Rikishi on Twitter with, well, Rikishi, you actually have 4 sons now, was amazing.
All right, let's go from one Sammy to another. So AEW last night, I saw a sign, and I don't remember exactly what it had to do, but someone was offering HR services. And they may actually need them because
it's pretty bad.
According to TMZ, Sammy Guevara and Andrade got in a fight last night in the locker room.
Another fight in the backstage.
Yes.
Listen, I'm
Punches thrown now, the fan base, well, then you should bring CM Punk back because the fight supposedly happened before Sammy's match and Sammy still wrestled. So
I mean, first off, you can't tear apart a card like that unless something overly egregious happens. The only interesting about this was that Sammy and Andrade were having it out very publicly on Twitter before it started. And there's part of me that's like, okay, did TK decide to incorporate backstage drama into his show, right? Like, did he decide to incorporate backstage drama and start creating feuds based on it? In which case it would make sense that these guys were getting after each other a little bit. But the more that plays out in AEW, the more I'm like, I'm kind of convinced, no, it's just really bad because TK is trying to run this thing as wrestling friend, right? Like all these guys are his friends backstage. And he doesn't know how to be a manager / owner that looks people in the face and goes, hey, I like you, but.
And he's also short a couple managers at present because they're suspended for fighting. So,
but
I mean.
Still, the again, dirt sheet stuff, if you get into that, is that the elite are kind of big on getting themselves over backstage as well, right? And that's pretty frowned upon. They named the show after them. Right? Like the Elite, it's All Elite Wrestling. It's named after them. So I don't know if it's a big help. I know, you know what TK needs? TK needs his Paul Heyman. TK needs his guy that's willing to come in to help grow guys and gals to their potential, but also knock them back into place when they get too big for their metaphorical britches, like, in my opinion, Sammy Guevara.
He also needs someone like The Undertaker, from our understanding, the locker room guy who.
Yeah, they need to police themselves.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have that guy right now.
They do. And then all this is getting out. It's not a good look for AEW. AEW, for its anniversary show last night, was not as good as it could have been. The first match, by the way, Yuta and MJF, excellent. That was a really, really good match. And then after that, the best thing to me, this is my opinion, was Chris Jericho's look at Garcia as it went off the air, or before he raised his hand. He did the look of disappointment at Garcia, and the character, the camera lingered on him doing that. I thought he did that really well. The rest of the card was kind of
Look, the show was not bad. All right, it wasn't a bad.
But
show
when you put
anymore.
on pay-per-view type shows, it makes regular shows seem lesser. I know you differ with me here, but
I would say this is you trying to find a justification for an argument you make all the time, which I understand. I disagree with it, but I understand it. The card wasn't bad for a regular Wednesday TV show. The problem is that was your anniversary show, and you hyped it as such. If they never would have said it's an anniversary show, it'd have been a fine Wednesday show.
Well, if you put what I think it was last week, bless you, if it was last week's show where they had all the stuff all those killer matches that I said should have been on pay-per-view, that should have been the anniversary show. That makes the anniversary show more special, unless you're into scissoring.
Happy belated National Scissoring Day, everybody. Let's take a break. And then I'll go have the meeting with my boss asking why he said that. Ho, you fat! Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. There's a text that says, can you talk about something else? And I don't know which station it's directed at.
Oh, of course it's us. And it's that same guy, which could spell his name with a C. I don't know. Possibly. I am curious. If you don't like wrestling, why do you listen to this show? I mean, I know how mean that sounds, but seriously, with as much wrestling references that we make at least 3 times an hour, why do you listen to the show?
There's a lot of them that unless you watch wrestling, you don't know it's a wrestling reference. Like Mark makes some of the most.
Oh, he knows. He knows.
References. I don't think he does. I honestly don't think he does. I think that some wrestling references have gotten so ingrained in pop culture that people make them all the time and don't actually know that they're doing it. And I think he's one of them.
It's just, I don't like that thing that you do every week at the same time every week. I don't like that thing that you do. I'm still listening, but I don't like that thing that you do. Well, you know what segment that's on, turn away for 10 or 15 minutes.
Turn away.
James says that guy sounds like a jobber. We don't even know if it's a guy, It'd be like tuning into a show and all they talk about is Clemson, and then asking them why don't they talk about something else, but all they do is talk about is Clemson. I would think if I was a Clemson fan, I'd get tired of that after a while. I would want to hear a little something else.
I like the idea of somebody having a shredder under their bed that will not shred. Like under your bed? It's a weird place for it.
You never know when you might have an important document that needs to be shredded.
Right, but it won't shred. Why would you keep it under your bed? Broke, it won't shred, but I don't want to get rid of it. However, I don't want to look at it while it's not shredding. So under the bed sounds good.
James, it could be perception. I don't know. And my perception is different than Rob's, but it seems like a lot of AEW guys would like to go back to WWE since Triple H has taken over.
I wouldn't disagree with that. And I wouldn't blame them for it. It's a different product now. And I think that with all the drama, like what made AEW so, I think, popular with WWE guys that wanted to go over was you're not going to be shoehorned into doing it the way Vince wants it done. Like there's some, like wrestlers felt like they had some more input there than they would anywhere else. But now that it's just like the majority of the stuff going on with AEW is just stupid drama at this point.
That's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm.
Isn't it interesting, by the way, that since he's taken over, we really haven't seen Triple H, and we're not going to until they do this DX celebration, which, by the way, I don't think it's going to happen, but there are rumors that Tony told Billy if he wanted to show up for the DX reunion, he'd be fine with it.
I think he will show up. I do.
That'd be cool as hell.
There are a lot of DX / the Acclaim posters last night and things like that. So I think he will show up because he's allowed. I mean, they've each allowed some things to happen on other stuff. So
I texted Lonzo, everyone loves the Acclaim last night, and he said no. It was very rude.
I do love how Castor throws in a lot of jabs at your side of the aisle, and people are just okay with it. He's equal opportunity, but still, he throws in there, and it had me thinking about demographics politically for a wrestling crowd, and I'm curious about that.
It absolutely. I would say at the layman level, like in the crowd, it leans one way.
Maybe for the older, but for the younger.
For the younger, probably the other. You're probably not wrong.
Because classically, that's how leanings go as far as youth versus age. All right, time for Twitter trending topics, where I tell Rob what's trending on the internet, and he will tell us why. The first thing that's trending is not really trending, but I got to say, ho yo fat.
Oh, you fat.
Ho you fat.
Steve Ho You Fat.
Yeah.
Made his American television debut when Metropolitan 92 took on the G League Ignite the other day. And the man's name is Steve Ho You Fat. Yeah, you
song curling off the screen, driving baseline. Ho You Fat with a 3. Yes, I just said that. That is that man's name. Don't tweet at me. I don't want a tweet from anybody. That's the man's name.
Ho You Fat. Steve Ho You Fat, the world's favorite basketball player right now. It is the best name on a jersey since He Hate Me, which was a great name. It remains, it's going in to the all-time name game Hall of Fame. Love that guy. And if you have not read it, if you go Google the story of Steve Ho You Fat, you are going to find out that the dude is apparently just an awesome guy too. They're like, man, like you got this name, you're on the radar. And he's like, listen, I'm playing basketball because I want to travel the world, meet new people, get life experiences. Life is meant to be lived and enjoyed even during the negatives. It started with a joke about Steve Ho You Fat, and now it's turned into, I kind of have a new basketball player that I really like. Like I've never followed
Are you looking into
French professional basketball, but I might now.
Are you looking into ordering the jersey? I bet they're sold out.
They're not available on the team website, and I know that because you're damn right I looked. I love having like interesting jerseys, right? Like I got a couple of, I don't wear them because
that might get you slapped here, but you know.
Yeah. I have a bunch of old minor league jerseys. I don't fit in them anymore. I hope I lose the weight so I can again. I love having interesting jerseys that people are like, yo, what's that? What would be better than a French League Metropolitan 92's Ho You Fat jersey to have people go, what? What, Rob, what's that? Conversation starter. Anyway, big ups to Steve Ho You Fat. Steve.
All right. Henry Cavill is trending.
What did the nerd do this time?
All right. So the reason why Henry Cavill is trending, there are supposed leaks that he actually is in Black Adam.
As Superman?
As Superman.
Really?
Yes. We'll see. Black Adam comes out in 2 weeks, I think on the 19th. We'll see if that's actually going to happen or not, which I hope it does.
you're going to take it as it's because you're anti-DC. I don't have all that much interest in Black Adam.
Oh, no, I'm concerned about Black Adam.
Yeah,
They're saying it's going to change everything and stuff like that. If that's true, why are you having it on in mid-October?
Yeah. I don't like, I'm not
when a movie comes out has a lot to do with what they think about a movie a lot of times. If it's coming out around Christmas or if it's coming out in late spring, early summer, then they think they have a hit on their hands. If it's coming out in October and it's not a Halloween movie, I have some concerns.
Yeah. I am a fan of Dwayne. I'm a fan of comic book movies. I've seen pretty much every one that they have put out so far. This movie, I have watched every trailer they've dropped for it, every advertisement they dropped for it. And it just like, I don't know, it's just not grabbing me. There's just nothing about it that I don't feel like. I'm sure that the movie will be better. But it just feels to me like he's more OP than Superman, right? Like that. Like, what are the stakes here? The guy, in the trailer, he's kicking the ass of the main bad guy.
Well, we don't know who the main bad guy is actually.
Who I assume is the main bad guy.
Well, so
maybe incorrectly.
He might be the main bad guy. So I mean, that's the whole point of the thing. We'll see. Can Black Adam beat Superman? It's pretty close in the comics.
Texter said apparently I'm banned from texting the Man Show. Like for real. I mean, you're welcome on this show, buddy. That's it for us.
I think that was a response. Well,
I'm sure. Jim Rum's up next in the jungle. Mark and Diesel take you off sides of 3. Y'all have a great rest of your day. We're back to do it tomorrow and better. See that red jacket back there? That's because we are coming for hardware. See you back here tomorrow for the Friday edition of the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. All right, dudes and dudettes, appreciate you guys watching. Have a lovely Thursday. We'll see you back.